here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
News at 5 teasers are brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Roby-Ann Williams.
And I'm Nora Gay Banter.
In Nationwide News at this hour, police and gunmen trade bullets in blazing gun battle in Ellerslie Pen, Spanish Town today.
State of public emergency declared in St. Andrews South, St. Andrews Central, Kingston Western, and St. Catherine South police divisions.
Jamaica's unemployment rate continues to fall. It's now at a record low of 3.5%.
Plans to consolidate the country's various payroll taxes into a single tax deduction system well advanced.
Members of the opposition were a no-show at today's sitting of the Joint Select Committee, considering legislation to transform Jamaica into a republic.
In news from the rest of the world, Trump's climate withdrawal creates rare discord with big oil.
And Trump moves to expand fast-track deportations.
In headline sports, Sunshine Girls go for series clincher against South Africa in crucial netball showdown in Kingston tonight.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the government is bringing unprecedented improvement to healthcare facilities across the island with the ministry's two-day career expo and employment fair. Dr. Tufton will join us.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, the government has set a 50% pass rate for CSEC math. Is that ambitious enough? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio. Message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
At 7, President Donald Trump shattered the record for most executive orders signed on his first day in office, but he's already facing legal challenges to some of his most controversial executive actions. You'll hear more.
And at 8, it's Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings Weathers.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, nationwideradiojm.com, and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. This Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday, January 22, 2025.
News at 5 teasers were brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. Police and gunmen traded bullets in a shootout in Ellerslie Pen in Spanish Town, St. Catherine on Wednesday morning. This followed an operation in the community at about 9 a.m. The operation was led by the St. Catherine North Police. Calicia Wright reports.
News of the gun battles emerged Wednesday morning after videos and voice recordings began circulating online. In several of the videos, gunshots are heard and people being cautioned not to traverse the area. Commanding officer for the division, Superintendent Hopeton Nicholson, told Nationwide News that they were apprehending a suspect when citizens started to attack the police.
Yo, big war in a Spanish Town, big shootout, police, gunman. I understand them only dance son over here. So a man then light the road and them a big shot off a police a big back shot. Yeah. Police are run and take with themselves 4 Hilux van mash up, puncher, you know. Police are fear rim them. Right now the army gone over there. Seeing about 4 windshield damage. I don't know if I shoot or I stone them flinging it.
According to Superintendent Nicholson, several police service vehicles were damaged during the exchange of gunfire and as residents attacked the police.
Police officers conducted operation in Ellerslie Pen in an area known as Captureland sometime after 9 a.m. this morning. During the operation, the police were in the process of apprehending a suspect when citizens attacked the police. Stones and other items were thrown at the police, which resulted in damages to several service vehicles. 4 service vehicle tires were slashed, and the person who was the intended target managed to escape. He is Ranil Hope, otherwise known as Ron.
He says warning shots were fired. The residents responded by blocking the streets with debris.
Now, during this incident, the police, with an intention to prevent further damages to the service vehicles, as well as to prevent injury to the officers, they had to use less lethal force, as well as to fire warning shots. Citizens then blocked several roadways. They lit fires to debris along some of the roads leading to LSPN. The police, with the help of members from the Jamaica Fire Brigade, managed to clear the roadways, and they are maintaining a strong presence in the area. Now, law and order will be maintained in LSPN and the surrounding communities. The police will be conducting investigations to bring the perpetrators responsible for the damages to the service vehicles to justice. These service vehicles were damaged by residents who were unprovoked.
Khaleesi Wright for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Superintendent Nicholson has listed several persons of interest in the division.
Now, the St. Catherine North CIB, we are asking the following persons to report immediately to us. Ranil Hope, otherwise known as Ron. Tashwayne Balford. Javon White, otherwise known as Bally. Kevon White, otherwise known as Twin. Shamar Domer, also known as Boise. A man known only as Ranger, and a man known only as Prezi.
Superintendent Hopeton Nicholson, commanding officer for the St. Catherine North Police Division.
The government has declared a state of public emergency SOE across 4 police divisions following an uptick in violent crime. The divisions are St. Andrew South, St. Andrew Central, Kingston Western, and St. Catherine South. More in this report from Shalois Michael.
The declarations were announced in a media release issued by the Office of the Prime Minister today. According to the OPM, an intelligence assessment revealed that violence and criminal activity in the communities has reached a level beyond what standard policing strategies can manage to effectively restore public order. It says the SOE will provide enhanced security tactics, enabling the security forces to disrupt criminal networks, apprehend offenders, and foster conditions for lasting peace. It sought to assure the public that the actions under the SOE will be carried out with full respect for constitutional safeguards and the protection of citizens' rights. The government says it will continue addressing the underlying factors that fuel violence in these areas. This, it says, will include working closely with the relevant stakeholders to ensure that social intervention programs accompany security measures, delivering long-term solutions to the social and economic challenges faced by residents. According to the latest statistics from the Jamaica Constabulary Force, 8 people were killed across the St. Andrew South Division up to January 18. That's 7 more than last year's corresponding period. 4 people were killed in St. Andrew Central, 3 more than last year's review period. In Kingston Western, 4 people were killed compared to 0 for the 2024 corresponding period. And in St. Catherine South, 9 people were killed. That's 6 more than last year's review period. Shalois Michael for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, commanding officer for the Area 4 Police, acting ACP Michael Phipps, has welcomed the imposition of the SOE.
The Police Area 4 has welcomed the imposition of the states of public emergency across the divisions of Kingston Western, St. Andrew Central, and St. Andrew South. This has come against the background of a significant increase in violent criminal activities, mostly associated with gangs across the areas and within especially the St. Andrew South Division. We have seen these divisions showing an uptick in reported murders since the start of January 2025 and have recorded so far this year 22 murders, up from 8 for the corresponding period of 2024.
According to ACP Phipps, South St. Andrew has recorded a massive increase in serious crimes since the start of the year. He's urging residents to support the police during the SOE.
The St. Andrews South Division have seen a whopping 1,000% increase in reported murders over the corresponding period of 2024. We will be using these measures to treat effectively with these very hotspot areas, which are known for gang warfare, which poses public safety risk to especially our law-abiding citizens who have to traverse these areas. We urge law-abiding citizens to give the full support to the efforts of the security forces who will be carrying out robust operational activities across the divisions.
Acting ACP Michael Phipps, commanding officer for the Area 4 Police.
Jamaica's unemployment rate continues to fall to record lows. The latest information provided by the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin, shows the country's unemployment rate falling to 3.5%. This slightly outperformed the previous historic low of 3.6%. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
The Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin, updated its model for calculating the country's unemployment at the end of 2023. Before the model was updated, the country's lowest unemployment rate was 4.2%. Jamaica again achieved this rate in April of 2024 under the updated model. The unemployment rate has continued to decline since. It's now moved down to 3.6% in July 2024 to its latest rate of 3.5% as of October. According to Statin, the female unemployment rate was higher at 4.5%, while the unemployment rate for males was 2.6%. The youth unemployment rate was 11%. This means an unemployment rate for young adult females at 3.7%, and for young adult males it was 8.9%. The total number of unemployed individuals in October 2024 was 51,300. Females make up 60% of those unemployed. In October 2024, there were 687,500 individuals outside the labor force. Of that number, only 29,400 were classified as part of the potential labor force. That's 4.3% of individuals seeking employment but not available to work, or are available for work but not looking for a job. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
The Medium, Small and Micro Enterprise Alliance is calling on the Bank of Jamaica BOJ to ramp up its efforts to encourage commercial banks to lower lending interest rates in line with the central bank's recent reductions. The alliance contends that delays in adjusting lending rates are placing unnecessary financial strain on its members. This, it says, is stifling their growth and slowing economic development. This appeal follows a meeting with the president of the Jamaica Bankers Association, JBA. The MSME Alliance says the JBA stated that it cannot dictate pricing for individual banks and recommended that borrowers negotiate directly with their lenders. However, the alliance expressed dissatisfaction with this stance. It argues that it contradicts previous actions. It highlighted that in 2022, when the BOJ raised its policy rate to combat inflation, commercial banks promptly increased borrowing rates within 6 months. These notifications came with limited room for negotiation. While commending BOJ Governor Richard Biles for addressing the issue of slow rate adjustments, the alliance is urging the central bank to take stronger regulatory action to ensure commercial banks act promptly. The alliance is also encouraging MSMEs to explore alternative financing options such as seeking private equity or listing on the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the government is advanced with plans to consolidate the country's various payroll taxes into a single tax deduction system. The Prime Minister was speaking at the Jamaica Stock Exchange Regional Investments and Capital Markets Conference in Kingston on Tuesday.
We are moving forward with the long talked about project to consolidate the various payroll taxes into a single payroll tax deduction. Again, this started in 2007 and it meandered through administrations, just didn't get done. I remember when it was first posited by former Prime Minister Bruce Golding. We are now well on our way to have it done. In fact, I've given the tax authorities a deadline. I won't say the deadline publicly yet, but they have a deadline.
At present, income tax, education tax, and contributions to the National Insurance Scheme and the National Housing Trust are deducted from salaries according to different percentage schedules. It's not immediately clear how the consolidation will be calculated. The Prime Minister says the project will be streamlined by January next year.
I received an update from the Ministry of Finance and the Tax Administration of Jamaica on the project, and we are targeting implementation of this by January 2026. So by January 2026, we should have the single social contribution payroll system established. But I've given them an earlier deadline to make sure that the system is actually up.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness. You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
Value Drug Pharmacy offers curbside pickup and delivery of your branded and generic drugs. WhatsApp your prescription to 876-881-6695. The time by Value Drug Pharmacy is
15 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is
29 degrees Celsius in capital city Kingston, 28 out west in Montego Bay.
The following earthquake tip is brought to you by Conrad Douglas and Associates Limited and its subsidiary Environmental Science and Technology Limited. Be prepared to drop, cover, and hold on in the likely event of aftershocks. The preceding earthquake tip was brought to you by Conrad Douglas and Associates Limited and its subsidiary, Environmental Science and Technology Limited. Telephone 876-929-0023.
Continuing the news, members of the opposition PNP did not attend Tuesday's sitting of the Joint Select Committee considering legislation to transform Jamaica into a republic. This follows last week's ultimatum issued by opposition leader Mark Golding to withdraw his caucus from the committee if the Prime Minister does not address the matter of Jamaica's final appellate court. Dana Davey tells us more.
When the Joint Select Committee on the Constitution Amendment Republic Act 2024 convened on Wednesday, opposition members were a no-show. Committee Chair and Constitutional Affairs Minister Marlene Malahoo Fort noted a statement from the opposition leader that the PNP caucus would not attend the sitting. When clarity was sought from Senator Charles Sinclair, she reminded the committee of Mr. Golding's stance taken at the previous sitting.
I was just seeking clarification on when you extended apologies on behalf of the leader of the opposition. And
no, I did not extend the apology. I simply noted for the record what was communicated to me by the committee clerk that the members indicated that they would not attend today.
Oh, today?
Well, but you may recall, as the minutes will show, that last week that member indicated his desire for answers to questions posed by him in a statement here. It would stand to reason that if this medium were used, then this medium would also be equally appropriate to provide the answers.
During the inaugural sitting of the committee last week, Mr. Golding made it clear that no agreement on the Caribbean Court of Justice would preclude him and his members from any further discussions.
These are matters relating to consensus in the reform of our Constitution and require answers to be provided by the head of government himself. Those answers are long overdue. Madam Chair, the answers that are forthcoming will determine the character of the opposition's cooperation in this exercise. The opposition is pushing for both sides to work together on both initiatives. We, as the opposition, need to be convinced that there is any better way forward than that.
Minister Malahoo Fort expressed her disappointment with the continued politicization of the matter.
Prime Minister Holness has been very deliberate in not politicizing this process, and some have misunderstood it. But he is firmly of the view that it is bigger than those of us who are currently in the Parliament at this time. But when we are elected to get it done, we must get it done. We must get it done. We can't set national goals about which there is no dispute, and then we start playing politics, forgetting that the institutions we are creating are not for us, but for the people, and it is not what is best for the Labour Party or the PNP, who are the political parties represented in the Parliament now, as they were at the time of independence, in addition to independent parliamentarians.
Mrs. Malahoo Fort says the opposition leader's questions will also be addressed at the next sitting of the committee.
At the next meeting of the committee, we will address the issue raised by the leader of the opposition as their condition for participating. Since they were raised here, this forum will be where they will be addressed. And we will then go into the details of the provisions for the office of president.
Dana Davey for Nationwide News.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute. The Trump administration has expanded the process to swiftly deport undocumented immigrants who cannot prove they have lived in the U.S. continuously for 2 years or more. U.S. border agents have been told to summarily deport migrants without allowing them to request legal protection. The U.S. has also moved to cancel all refugee travel and processing, leaving thousands stranded as they wait to come to the U.S. Trump has promised mass deportations and declared a national emergency at the U.S.-Mexico border that he says will allow the government to deploy troops and surge additional resources. A notice posted on the website of the Federal Register says the expedited removal policy took effect on January 21. The policy has traditionally been limited to undocumented migrants detained within 100 miles of the country's international borders. However, it now allows officers to use it anywhere in the U.S. The expanded policy could be challenged in court.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, police and gunmen trade bullets in blazing gun battle in Ellerslie Pen, Spanish Town today.
State of public emergency declared in St. Andrews South, St. Andrews Central, Kingston Western and St. Catherine South Police Divisions.
Jamaica's unemployment rate continues to fall. It's now at a record low of 3.5%.
Plans to consolidate the country's various payroll taxes into a single tax deduction system well advanced.
I'm Robianne Williams.
And I'm Nora Gay Banton.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app, available on Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information, will host the Health and Wellness Career Expo and Employment Fair, January 22 and 23 at 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Attendees from all schools are asked to confirm participation via email to rsvpcareerexpo@moh.gov.jm. Expect interactive booth displays, entertainment, free health screenings, and more. See you at the 2025 Health and Wellness Career Expo and Employment Fair. A career in health, the roadmap to success.
The following earthquake tip is brought to you by Digital Commodities Limited. When the shaking stops, look around. If the building is damaged and there's a clear path to safety, leave the building and go to an open space away from damaged areas. The preceding earthquake tip was brought to you by Digital Commodities Limited. Telephone 876-960-8359.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker.
In just under 2 hours' time, Jamaica's national senior netball team will take to the court at the National Indoor Sports Centre to face South Africa in the second game of their three-match series. The Sunshine Girls will be looking to close out the series with a game to go, having won the first 55-47 on Saturday at the same venue. The game is set to tip off at 7 o'clock. The Jamaicans are on 189 rating points, 3 behind second place New Zealand, and they're 1 above England in fourth. Sasha Gay Henry, coach of the Jamaica team, says that has given the series added significance.
It's a big deal for us, to really play well and execute and definitely come out on top. But, it's not going to be an easy one. I think it's going to be a very challenging one. When any team come up against Jamaica, they always give us their best. So, we're excited. We know what we have to do. South Africa and all of those teams know what they have to do, but we really have to focus on what we're doing. We build on that confidence level, but I think it's a whole different game that we're looking forward to, and we just use that confidence in terms of just building strategically as a group to compete and execute well and to get the results that we really want.
Henry says the fans have a big role to play in getting the team over the line.
Our crowd is more vibrant, our crowd is more enthused, our crowd actually motivates. Our crowd was just actively involved, they were just the driving force behind those girls, pot cover and all of the whistle and all of that. Our crowd support is just such a big deal for us, and we're excited based on our performance. Just begging the crowd, we're begging the support from Team Jamaica to just come on board and just support these sets of ladies who have been performing back to back, being very successful in their encounter playing for Jamaica.
That's Sasha Gay Henry, coach of the Jamaica national netball team. We'll be there, Sasha. We definitely will be there. That's Nationwide 90 FM. Former champions Portmore United and Waterhouse moved up a place in the Ray and Nephew Jamaica Premier League on Wednesday. Portmore, with a double strike from Jeremy Lynch and one from Romeo Guthrie, defeated Chapelton Maroons by 3-0 to move into fourth spot on 33 points, the same as Waterhouse, who beat Harbourview 1-0 on an Andre Fletcher penalty. The defeat keeps Harbourview firmly rooted to the foot of the table, and it extends their winless streak. In the days of the game, Dunby Holden and Vere United played out a 1-1 draw. Michael Graham gave Vere the lead on minute 7, but that was cancelled out by Dean Andre Thomas 14 minutes later. There are 4 more games on tomorrow. English Premier League campaigners Arsenal all but secured their place in the round of 16 of the European Champions League after an easy 3-0 win over Dinamo Zagreb at the Emirates this afternoon. Declan Rice, with his first Champions League goal, Kai Havertz and captain Martin Ødegaard did the business for the Gunners, who are third in the standings behind Liverpool and FC Barcelona.
Martinelli giving Ristovski a difficult time and a possibility straight away. And an extraordinary start for Arsenal. Declan Rice finishing absolutely superbly, having been teed up by Kai Havertz. And within 2 minutes, Arsenal exactly where they want to be. Martinelli and Havertz! Well, it's 2 in a week for Kai Havertz. Confidence for him and comfort for Arsenal.
Champions Real Madrid hit form with a crushing 5-2 win over RB Salzburg on the back of double strikes from the Brazilian pair, Rodrigo and Vinicius Jr. Paris Saint-Germain outscored Manchester City 4-2 in the French capital. Portuguese international Rafa Leão got AC Milan's goal in a 1-0 win over Girona. Feyenoord blanked Bayern Munich by 3-0, and Lautaro Martinez scored for Inter Milan in their 1-0 win over Sparta Praga. 200 meters world champion Shericka Jackson and Toby Amusan, the 2022 100 meters hurdles world champion record holder, are set to open their track and field season at the Queen's Grace Jackson meet at the National Stadium on Saturday. Chairman of the organizing committee, Olive McNaughton, says Jackson and Amusan will run in the women's 60 meters.
In our 60 meters, we have Shericka Jackson starting again at the Queen's Grace Jackson meet, running the 60 meters. And we have also the record holder, Kobe Amusan, who is training at racers, who's scheduled to run the 60 meters. So the 60 meters is usually one of our stellar events. And again, we have a top lineup. We have Serena Cole, we have Janelle Smith coming back. And so I'm really excited to see that once again, the Queen's Grace Jackson meet, we're doing our small part in the development of track and field.
And McNaughton says several other international athletes will be on display.
We do have a caliber of overseas athletes training in Jamaica that will be there. We have the Bahamian from Bahamas, Anthony Strawn. We have from England, Great Britain. We have a series of different persons competing.
That's Olive McNaughton, and that will do it for sports. We're going to be back with more at 6:05.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Since 2016, 156,000 more Jamaicans are working. This is more than any other time in our history. Your government is caring for you. The time brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister is
5:30.
The Jamaica diaspora sends over $3 billion back to Jamaica per year, but it is too complicated for them to open investment accounts in Jamaica and invest their money. Blue Maho Capital has unlocked diaspora direct investment, and we are helping to move the Caribbean forward. Learn more about us at www.bluemahocapital.com.
Help you take a better route. Become a mentor in the Ministry of Justice Child Diversion Program. To become a mentor, you must be a Jamaican citizen over 18 years old, literate, with at least a secondary level education, have at least 1 year working experience, be willing to volunteer for at least 1 year, and be non-partisan, confidential, and a person of integrity. Download the application form at moj.gov.jm and submit to any child diversion office island-wide. For more details, call the ministry at 888-JUSTICE. That is 888-587-8423. Help a youth take a better route. Join the Child Diversion Mentorship Program today.
The following earthquake tip is brought to you by Coast to Coast Concrete. Plan and practice how to drop to the ground, cover your head and neck with your arms, and if a safer place is nearby that you can get to without exposing yourself to flying debris, crawl to it and hold on to maintain cover. The preceding earthquake tip was brought to you by Coast to Coast Concrete. Telephone 876-754-7472.
Revamp your space with Unique Living sleek fixed and sliding shower panels, shower systems and faucets, stylish vanities, LED and non-LED mirrors, basins and kitchen sinks, closet and storage solutions, hanging aids, and more. Available in different finishes and sizes to match your style. Transform your space and visit us today at shop number 6, 30 Dunrobin Avenue, Kingston 10. Call us at 876-755-3661 or visit our website at uniquelivingja.com to shop.
Have you just finished grade 11? Looking for a 2-year 6th-form pathway to earn overseas local certificate diploma and advanced diploma and get qualified to work locally and internationally? Register now. Start free 6th form at IIRQ Academy. Start our new 6th form program online or face-to-face classes in September. Choose between pathway 1, 2, or 3. Paid for by the Ministry of Education. For more information, call 876-322-4029 or visit 32 Hope Road, Kingston. Website www.iirq.org.
To seize opportunities on your business horizon, you need tailored financing solutions from a partner that takes the time to understand your business. Sagicor Investments. We offer mid-sized to large corporations the debt and equity financing solutions they need to drive growth. Backed by the strength of Sagicor Group, one of the largest financial conglomerates in the region, you can be confident that we will deliver. Make your business move with Sagicor Investments. Contact our capital markets unit at 888-SAGICOR.
Taboo topics, bulletins after dark,
riveting discussions,
celebrity news and interviews,
topics that are shunned by society,
and everything else in between.
Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m.
Boyatings After Dark.
No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored.
Boyatings After Dark.
Tune in to Outside with Pepita from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. as we broadcast live from Megamart, 29 Waterloo Road on Saturday, January 25.
Outside with Pepita and me, the Stinger Honeybee. In a Megamart equals
Mega Vibes. Come on down to Megamart Waterloo for all the New Year excitement. Don't miss
the Mega Fiesta, the Mega Specials, and the Mega Promotion. Outside with Pepita is doing it mega with Megamart. So join Outside with Pepita alongside Honeybee Saturday, January 25 from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Catch us at Megamart, 29 Waterloo Road, Kingston, or tune in to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by Megamart.
Cover Story is brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
Pay nothing down on a shiny, brand new Hyundai vehicle with free loan payments until March 2025. Yes, get a 2024 Hyundai vehicle and get free loan payments until March 2025. 100% financing, 2 years free service, 0 processing fees, and other sweet goodies. Drive into the new year with your new ride. Goodbye, old car. Hello, Hyundai. Hyundai. For free payments promotion. Limited stock available. Offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
Good afternoon, listeners and viewers. It is January the 22nd, 2025, and this is the Cover Story. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis. How are you, Siobhan?
Doing quite well.
Wonderful. It's Cover Story time, and we're going to turn our attention to the Ministry of Health and Wellness. And that's because Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the government is bringing unprecedented improvement to healthcare facilities across the island. He was speaking at the launch of the ministry's 2-day career expo and employment fair at the Mona campus of the University of the West Indies on Wednesday. The health ministry had published vacancies for more than 600 jobs.
Dr. Tufton says the move to enhance the human resource capacity in the health sector reflects the government's vision. He cited the government's 10-year strategic plan to fill several gaps in public health. That plan includes creating more space for patients, providing equipment, digitizing health records, paying healthcare workers better, and creating more permanent posts for doctors. The minister joins us now to discuss further. Good afternoon, Dr. Tufton.
Hi, how are you?
Doing quite well. So, Dr. Tufton, just to ask you, how was the fair today? I understand it was quite well attended.
Well, I'm still here. We go on until 8 p.m. and tomorrow again from 9 to 8, 2 days. And yes, it started extremely well, continued throughout the day and still going on. We have a more adult population coming in now. The students came in earlier. Obviously, they have to go back to their respective places, some of them from out of town, including my alma mater, Manchester, the great Manchester High School. Sorry for that plug. And it has gone well. The feedback is very positive. The job fair attracted, I think it's still going on. When I checked recently, about 1,500 persons so far have been screened, and there were still quite a number of persons waiting to be screened and for an initial interview. And we are now touring a private sector delegation so they can see what's happening and sort of explain what is going on. Earlier, the Minister of the Philippines for Health spoke and the Prime Minister at the opening. And I think we're achieving the objective in terms of the numbers, the expressions of interest, and the need to create that kind of awareness as part of the overall strategic plan to bolster more persons going into the field and also the retention of some of those persons through the offering of the Barwin Scholarship.
Which is where I want to take you, Dr. Tufton, because the opposition says this is a PR stunt, and you're on record saying not so. Why did the ministry saw the need to do this job fair?
Well, I don't even know if it's necessary to respond to what was said about the kind of motive for the event coming from the opposition, because I think those who have come here to experience this will think and know otherwise. But the reality is that, as you said earlier, this is part of a strategic plan that was developed and is now being executed actively with resources put behind it to achieve the overall upgrading of our health infrastructure. It does represent transformation, and it will take time because of all the under-resourced and, deficiencies that existed before. So today was one of several planks, which is to build the human resource capacity to fill the positions that are created through compensation review, where we have added additional posts, to fill the positions that will be available when new hospitals are being built. We're building out several to build the capacity to deal with the more modern diagnostics that are now being procured, and I could go on and on. So you can't expand and improve service quality unless you have people. And it is no secret that we have a shortage because of migration, a shortage because of training needs, deficiencies, clinical rotation, space, faculty shortages. And really, health is a service, and it's a service that requires people to manage. So today's event is not to be considered in isolation. It has to be considered as part of a plan, an overarching plan that is intended to upgrade, modernize, and hopefully make more efficient the public health response to the sick profile of our population. And we're very confident that we're doing the right thing. And based on the numbers that have come out here in terms of people wanting to know all the different career options, a while ago I was speaking with the private sector group, the medical field, and was getting the numbers of oncologists that are on the island, how many are present, how many are needed, the length of time it takes to train someone for that particular skill set, where they have to train here, where they have to train abroad. That's a detail that you don't often hear about, but frankly speaking has to be dealt with in order to prepare for filling the posts that are vacant. The reason why the minister from the Philippines is here is because we're signing an MOU tomorrow, and the Philippines is the largest exporter of healthcare workers to the world. Proportionally, Jamaica probably is one other. Philippines are being a much bigger country, of course. We are now combining our efforts to learn from each other, to train more people, to exchange faculty where necessary, and that augurs well for the future to create more people who will be in the system to offer service and reduce wait time and improve service quality. So the opposition or any other person who may be curious as to why this is happening, they can come, we can explain it. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that maybe they don't understand. But we are very comfortable that we're living true to a plan, and that plan is reflected here today.
And to be clear, Dr. Tufton, your ministry indicated that there are more than 600 vacancies. About how many of those posts that are vacant are actually new posts that have been created by your ministry?
So, to understand these vacancies, you have to have an appreciation for the compensation review and the principle around compensation review in the first instance. And in the second instance, the shortages that have been existing for a long time due to migration or limited training capacity. Compensation review operates on a principle where we have offered to pay our critical staffers more and hopefully allow them to work less hours to earn a livable wage. By so doing, create more posts to bring more people on board so that they can also be efficiently working for the 40-hour week and enhancing the quality of the service without burnout. Those positions, many of those, and therefore we created nearly 2,000 additional posts. And some were appointments from temporary positions that people had or contract labor. Others were new, and the 600 plus are posts that exist in the establishment that have not been filled. And that's what we're trying to do. When other entities come on board, we're going to need more. When Western Child and Adolescent Hospital comes on board, for example, later this year, the optimum level of staffing for that hospital is almost 1,200 people. There are about 200 or so that will come from Cornwall Regional because we would transfer the services of pediatric and adolescent care to the new facility on the same compound, and those medical practitioners will come across. But we're offering a range of additional services that will require new skill sets. And there is an HR plan that defines all the positions, both administrative and clinical. And we have to now start a process of recruitment to fill those positions so that the building will operationalize. So this is not just a target that we pull out of the air. It's drawn from the HR deficiencies at the regional level and by extension put together to create the numbers that we have with a forecasting and a projection for the future and how we will get there, importantly, hence the Career Expo and the MOU with the Philippines, the one we have with Cuba, and looking at Nigeria and India. We are very clear in terms of what the strategic vision is, and we're living true to that vision in terms of execution.
Very well. Stay on the line, Dr. Tufton. We have a break.
Clearing personal, non-commercial shipments at the port? Avoid the wait. Request a contactless clearance through your agent today. It's more efficient. It's secure. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
5:45.
Take your business to the next level. Join Jamaica Stock Exchange at its landmark 20th Regional Investment and Capital Markets Conference from the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel, January 21st to 23rd, 2025. 3 exciting days of powerful, inspiring, and innovative presentations. Hear from industry experts and entrepreneurs from the Caribbean, USA, Canada, Latin America, and Africa. Come, connect, and network. Reserve your spot at www.jamstockex.com or call 876-967-3271.
Outperform, outlast, with top performance, Jackhammer, reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electrician. Pan select tools, 3 parts and 3 repairs. 3 parts, 3 repairs. 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-6111-4. Delta Supply, we service what we sell.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to the cover story. We're talking with Minister of Health, Dr. Christopher Tufton, regarding their Career Expo and Job Fair held today, where they're trying to fill approximately 600 posts in the health sector in order to fill gaps as part of their strategic long-term plan. And on that topic, Dr. Tufton, these posts, we have the traditional ones that people think of, the doctors, the nurses, but you have your normal paths in terms of recruitment for those individuals. I assume these 600 vacancies is something more that the government is looking for in terms of filling those critical gaps.
Yeah, so let me break it down a little. So oftentimes we use the term nursing and doctors in generic terms, meaning you think that it's just any doctor or any nurse.
Yes.
And clearly that's not the case. Take nursing, for example. You have a range of categories of workers that provide nursing services, from the very basic, just patient care, to the very advanced, an oncology nurse that focuses on cancer treatment and cancer care, or a nephrology nurse, or a pediatric, and so on. So there are some areas where we have a level of adequacy that can sustain us in the public system. There are other areas where there are severe shortages, where we are 50% of capacity, 40% of capacity, normally in the specialized areas. So there are about 8 categories of specialized nursing. I'll give you an example. I mean, the pediatric space for ill babies at Victoria Jubilee Hospital, whereby best practices you should have a ratio of 1 to 1, maybe 1 to 2 sick babies. These are the early stage births. Sometimes there's a ratio of 1 to 5, 1 to 6. In extreme cases, more. The management of that population, therefore, becomes difficult for that particular nurse. And it's not that the posts aren't there. It is the shortage of that specialist nurse. And for a number of reasons. Sometimes you train them, but the demand in North America, in the UK, in Canada, is so great that those countries, or should I say those health systems, recruit and offer very generous packages. So there's always a competition for that level of speciality, which then creates the gaps that we have And it's not unique to this year, last year, or the year before. It has been the case for a while. And it does affect the quality of service. And we have said that open and openly. So what I would like us to do is not just to focus on the employment component of what is happening here over the next 2 days, but very importantly, focus on the developmental component that is captured in the health career fair, which is to try and facilitate a development program that will see greater interest in pursuing careers in the different segments of a particular profession. Support that with the scholarship funds, which we have started and will continue for the next 4 years, and then achieve retention through the bonding arrangement, through the scholarship, through better working conditions by building out better hospitals, and all the other things, compensation review and so on that we're offering. So, I heard the talk about retention. Retention is not just determined by high salaries, as important as that is. Working conditions determine retention. Security of tenure determines retention, which is the post that we have created as opposed to contract work. Opportunities for growth determines retention, and I could go on and on. And what the strategic plan does is to give a very holistic approach to understanding the problems and try to address in a much more complex and sometimes nuanced way a development model that will achieve greater results for the patient and for the Jamaican people. And sometimes we simplify our interpretation of what it is, maybe for one reason or the other, and it unfortunately undermines the complex nature of the challenge and why we're doing what we're doing.
And I appreciate that, Dr. Tufton, and the long-term vision is important, but there's still those gaps to fill short-term, and I suppose that is where your attempts to court the Philippines in this matter is also important, because I looked at today's labor market survey, and something that struck me quite interestingly is while they suggest that there's 500,000 Jamaicans outside of the labor force, realistically, in terms of those actually seeking work, that's about 30,000 people. And when you're talking about something such as healthcare, which is a very specialized field in terms of the talent that you need to recruit, Jamaica has to, in some instances, look elsewhere to fill those gaps while you try to build up that long-term capacity, correct?
Right. So part of that strategic plan is how do we create strategic alliances? The reality is, and not often we want to recognize it, politicians included, because it sounds like we're betraying our local people. But labor is highly mobile. The truth is, in a post-COVID environment, particularly a health worker, the more specialized they are, have multiple options. They can go to the Caribbean, they can go to North America. I mean, they don't need to look too far outside of Jamaica to have offers, especially if they're specialized, as I said earlier.
Yes.
The question, therefore, is how do you tweak your strategy to ensure that that mobility can also benefit you? And the way to do that from a policy perspective is to forge alliances. And those alliances include places, in this case, where the skill sets are present, where the tradition of supporting assignments external to their countries are in place. So the Philippines is a perfect case. Not only will we and can we and hopefully will benefit from where the skill sets are scarce, but those skill sets don't just mean people working in hospitals. It means faculty. Because part of the challenge is that we need more faculty to train, because there are requirements for qualification, ratio of faculty to student. It requires technical skill sets, biotech engineers to manage the plant and to ensure we don't have downtime. It may require remote access through technology. We have that with Cuba now. I mean, we bring Cubans here and we send Jamaicans to Cuba to train. So it requires apprenticeship training. One of the things we're discussing with the Philippines is to train some of our nurses, specialized nurses, here for a while. Then they go to the Philippines for a few months to go into a hospital. The CMO just came back. She's very comfortable with that environment. They have over 400 hospitals, I'm told. and do clinical rotation to qualify. And so you end up with a joint training arrangement. So that mobility of labor should be seen for us as an opportunity as it is a threat. We know what the threats are. It's migration. We also have to benefit from that mobility in terms of building our own capacity, even if it means that the capacity is built outside of Jamaica. And that's why we think those relationships are important. And that's the perspective we're taking.
I want some clarity, Dr. Tufton, as to what happens at the career fair in terms of interviews, because one listener indicated that they had a challenge where they visited the expo and all that happened was that their resume was collected and the representative told them that it will be sent off to the relevant sections and then the HR department will browse through it. So is it that resumes will be collected at the expos, or are there any plans to do actual interviews or initial interviews for individuals who express an interest in a particular post that is being advertised?
Okay, so the interviewing process normally takes several stages. And I don't think that, and I hope not, we didn't communicate that we would go through all stages to hire or offer a job on spot. Certainly not when you have thousands of people turning up, which we anticipated. So what the team has done is put in place, in the first instance, a interaction with each person who comes, assessment of their resume, visual assessment, an exchange with that individual, and they try to time it to get the productivity levels so we can do as many as possible. So it can't be a half an hour, 1 hour discussion, but enough to make a quick determination, and these are HR people, so they're trained to do this, as to how to direct this particular resume. To one extreme, it could be that, listen, this resume, you have to do more training. You don't qualify for this position you're seeking, or maybe look at another area. Or, to the other extreme, this is a very attractive resume, and therefore it is going to be directed to the person, the institution, the region that has the gap in this area. And then a follow-up takes place where a better conversation is had with the individual. So, you know, it is an important start of the process. And the people who are so trained to do, there's a form that everybody fills out to clarify some of the critical things with the resume, and then we take it from there.
And finally, Dr. Tufton, these 600 positions are, I know you're trying to fill them, but are these positions that will in any way impact the public wage bill, or are these already gazetted positions that are already taken into consideration when we calculate that number?
Right. So as I said earlier, the compensation review also resulted in posts being created, over 2,000 posts across the system for nursing and medicine. There are some other posts that may have been occupied through contract labor, which in the interest of retention, and we offer security of tenure by creating permanent posts in those at different levels. So the odds around the 600 are posts that exist, that are on the establishment, and therefore if we engage these people, and clearly the Ministry of Finance, as the case may be, would have to budget for ensuring that these people are compensated. So it's not a wish list by a region or a hospital. It's an established position that is not filled, that they would certainly want to fill to improve their output in the system.
Understood.
And are there plans, Dr. Tufton, to make this Career Expo an annual or an ongoing initiative?
Well, you know, clearly we'll assess after the fact. This is a first for us. I think it was necessary, and so far so good. There's a budget clearly attached to this, and but I think we have to then assess in the context of whether it's worth it. Over time, it may lead to a level of awareness where we may not need to do it, but I do think that there needs to be a sensitization to the population periodically. It could be every year, it could be every 2 years or otherwise, where we expose all these various positions and try to generate interest for a career in health. And I think it's necessary, particularly in the areas that are often underrepresented, either because of a lack of knowledge or training, or because the market dictates significant competition that works against us.
We have to leave it there. Thank you as always, Dr. Christopher Tufton.
All the best.
All the best. Dr. Christopher Tufton is the country's Health and Wellness Minister. That's it for the cover story. We're up on the break. We're going to take the news and then we come back at 6:40 for Nation's Business.
Cover Story was brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
6 o'clock.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Police and gunmen traded bullets in a shootout in Ellerslie Pen in Spanish Town, St. Catherine on Wednesday morning. Commanding officer for the St. Catherine North Division, Superintendent Hopton Nicholson, says they were apprehending a suspect when citizens started to attack the police.
Police officers conducted operation in Ellerslie Pen in an area known as Captureland sometime after 9 a.m. this morning. During the operation, the police were in the process of apprehending a suspect when citizens attacked the police. Stones and other items were thrown at the police, which resulted in damages to several service vehicles. 4 service vehicle tires were slashed, and the person who was the intended target managed to escape. He is Ranil Hope, otherwise known as Ron.
He says warning shots were fired, but the residents responded by blocking the streets with debris.
Now, during this incident, the police, with an intention to prevent further damages to the service vehicles, as well as to prevent injury to the officers, they had to use less lethal force, as well as to fire warning shots. Citizens then blocked several roadways. They lit fires to debris along some of the roads leading to Ellerslie Pen. The police, with the help of members from the Jamaica Fire Brigade, managed to clear the roadways, and they are maintaining a strong presence in the area. Now, law and order will be maintained in Ellerslie Pen and the surrounding communities. The police will be conducting investigations to bring the perpetrators responsible for the damages to the service vehicles to justice. These service vehicles were damaged by residents who were unprovoked.
Superintendent Hopton Nicholson, commanding officer for the St. Catherine North Police. The government has declared a state of public emergency, SOE, across 4 police divisions following an uptick in violent crime. The divisions are St. Andrews South, St. Andrews Central, Kingston Western, and St. Catherine South. Commanding officer for the Area 4 Police, acting ACP Michael Phipps, welcomed the imposition of the SOE.
The police Area 4 has welcomed the imposition of the states of public emergency across the divisions of Kingston Western, St. Andrews Central, and St. Andrews South. This has come against the background of a significant increase in violent criminal activities, mostly associated with gangs across the areas and within especially the St. Andrews South Division. We have seen these divisions showing an uptick in reported murders since the start of January 2025 and have recorded so far this year 22 murders, up from 8 for the corresponding period of 2024.
According to ACP Phipps, South St. Andrew has recorded a massive increase in serious crimes since the start of the year. He's urging residents to support the police during the SOE.
The St. Andrews South Division have seen a whopping 1,000% increase in reported murders over the corresponding period of 2024. We will be using these measures to treat effectively with these very hotspot areas, which are known for gang warfare, which poses public safety risk to especially our law-abiding citizens who have to traverse these areas. We urge law-abiding citizens to give the full support to the efforts of the security forces who will be carrying out robust operational activities across the divisions.
Acting ACP Michael Phipps, commanding officer for the Area 4 Police. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the government is advanced with plans to consolidate the country's various payroll taxes into a single tax deduction system. He was speaking at the Jamaica Stock Exchange Regional Investments and Capital Markets Conference in Kingston on Tuesday.
We are moving forward with the long talked about project to consolidate the various payroll taxes into a single payroll tax deduction. Again, this started in 2007. And it meandered through administrations, just didn't get done. I remember when it was first posited by former Prime Minister Bruce Golding. We are now well on our way to have it done. In fact, I've given the tax authorities a deadline. I won't say the deadline publicly yet, but they have a deadline.
At present, income tax, education tax, and contributions to the National Insurance Scheme and the National Housing Trust are deducted from salaries according to different percentage schedules. It's not immediately clear how the consolidation will be calculated. The Prime Minister says the project will be streamlined by January next year.
I received an update from the Ministry of Finance and the Tax Administration of Jamaica on the project, and we are targeting implementation of this by January 2026. So by January 2026, we should have the single social contribution payroll system established. But I've given them an earlier deadline to make sure that the system is actually up.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Members of the opposition, PNP, did not attend Tuesday's sitting of the Joint Select Committee considering legislation to transform Jamaica into a republic. When clarity was sought from Senator Charles Sinclair, Committee Chair and Constitutional Affairs Minister Marlene Malahoo Ford reminded the committee of Mr. Golding's stance taken at the previous sitting.
I was just seeking clarification on when you extended apologies on behalf of the leader of the opposition. And
no, I did not extend the apology. I simply noted for the record what was communicated to me by the committee clerk, that the members indicated that they would not attend today.
Oh, today?
Well, but you may recall, as the minutes will show, that last week that member indicated his desire for answers to questions posed by him in a statement here. It would stand to reason that if this medium were used, then this medium would also be equally appropriate to provide the answers.
Minister Malahoo Ford expressed her disappointment with the continued politicization of the matter.
Prime Minister Holness has been very deliberate in not politicizing this process, and some have misunderstood it. But he is firmly of the view that it is bigger than those of us who are currently in the Parliament at this time. But when we are elected to get it done, we must get it done. We must get it done. We can't set national goals about which there is no dispute, and then we start playing politics, forgetting that the institutions we are creating are not for us, but for the people, and it is not what is best for the Labour Party or the PNP, who are the political parties represented in the Parliament now, as they were at the time of independence, in addition to independent parliamentarians.
Marlene Malahoo Ford, Committee Chair and Constitutional Affairs Minister. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Sports is next.
We are the best at what we do. At Hose Assembly and Supply Limited, we supply hose, fittings, and tools. We guarantee we can't be beaten when price and quality are combined. You brand us the Hose and Tool Boss because we deliver the most effective industrial solutions. Come in and experience the joy of shopping with Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. Call us 876-923-3936 or visit 173 Hagley Park Road, 2 Charlesworth Crescent, or Montego Bay Trade Center. Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. More than just hoses. Now open every Sunday.
The Jamaica diaspora sends over $3 billion back to Jamaica per year, but it is too complicated for them to open investment accounts in Jamaica and invest their money. Blue Maho Capital has unlocked diaspora direct investment, and we are helping to move the Caribbean forward. Learn more about us at www.bluemahocapital.com.
Plug into the sun with Peak Energy Solutions. We are your affordable provider for everything solar. Grid tie or off-grid solar P systems, solar air conditioners, panels, lithium batteries, solar supplies, and installation. Visit us at Shop 1, 3 Mosquito Valley Road, Red Hills, St. Andrew. Call 876-279-8820 or 944-0668. Or email us at peakenergysolutionsja@gmail.com. Peak Energy for everything solar.
Get ready for a day of inspiration and innovation at UCC BDCI's Conversations for Greatness. Join us on January 23 at 10 a.m. at UCC, 17 Worthington Avenue in Kingston for an exciting and informative day of activities. Connect with industry leaders like Michael Andre Collins, join interactive workshops, and witness a live pitch competition that could transform business ideas into reality. Don't wait. Visit www.bdci.co to register now. Conversations for Greatness, where great minds meet and future leaders are made.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Well, in just under an hour from now, Jamaica's senior netball team will take to the court at the National Indoor Sports Centre to face South Africa in the second game of their three-match series. The Sunshine Girls will be looking to close out the series with a game to go, having won the first 55-47 on Saturday at the same venue. The game is set to tip off at 7 o'clock. The Jamaicans are on 189 rating points. That's a 3 behind second place New Zealand and 1 above England in fourth place. Sasha Gay Henry is coach of the Jamaica team, and she says the rating points given to teams has given the series added significance.
It's a big deal for us, to really play well and execute and definitely come out on top. But, it's not going to be an easy one. I think it's going to be a very challenging one. When any team come up against Jamaica, they always give up their best. So, we're excited. We know what we have to do. South Africa and all of those teams know what they have to do, but we really have to focus on what we're doing. We build on that confidence level, but I think it's a whole different game that we're looking forward to, and we just use that confidence in terms of just building strategically as a group to compete and execute well and to get the results that we really want.
Henry says the fans have a big role to play in getting the team over the line.
Our crowd is more vibrant, our crowd is more enthused, our crowd actually motivates. Our crowd was just actively involved, they were just the driving force behind those girls, pot cover and all of the whistle and all of that. Our crowd support is just such a big deal for us, and we're excited based on our performance. Just begging the crowd, we're begging the support from Team Jamaica to just come on board and just support these sets of ladies who have been performing back to back, being very successful in their encounter playing for Jamaica.
Coach Sasha Gay Henry, or Nationwide 90 FM, will be represented there. We're on Saturday, and we're going to be back there tonight. Alric and Kimarley are on their way. Now, former champions Portmore United and Waterhouse, they move up a place in the Wren Nephew Jamaica Premier League on Wednesday. Portmore, with a double strike from Jeremy Lynch and one from Romeo Guthrie, defeated Shackleton Maroons by 3-0 to move into fourth spot on 33 points, the same as Waterhouse, who defeated Harbourview 1-0 on an Andre Fletcher penalty. The defeat keeps Harbourview firmly rooted to the foot of the table, and it extends their winless streak. In the days of the game, Dunby Holding and Vere played out a 1-1 draw. Michael Graham gave Vere the lead on 7 minutes, but that was cancelled out by Dean Andre Thomas 14 minutes later. English Premier League campaigners Arsenal all but secured their place in the round of 16 of the European Champions League after an easy 3-0 win over Dinamo Zagreb at the Emirates this afternoon. Declan Rice, with his first Champions League goal, Kai Havertz and captain Martin Ødegaard did the business for the Gunners, who are third in the standings behind Liverpool and FC Barcelona.
Martinelli giving Ristovski a difficult time and a possibility straight away. And an extraordinary start for Arsenal. Declan Rice finishing absolutely superbly, having been teed up by Kai Havertz. And within 2 minutes, Arsenal exactly where they want to be. Martinelli and Havertz! Well, it's 2 in a week for Kai Havertz. Confidence for him and comfort for Arsenal.
Champions Real Madrid hit form with a crushing 5-2 win over RB Salzburg on the back of a double strike, while double strikes from the Brazilian pair of Rodrigo and Vinicius Jr. Paris Saint-Germain outscored Manchester City 4-2 in the French capital. Portuguese international Rafa Leão got AC Milan's goal in a 1-0 win over Girona. Feyenoord blanked Bayern Munich 3-0, and Lautaro Martinez scored for Internazionale of Milan in their 1-0 win over Sparta Prague. 200 meters world champ Shericka Jackson and Toby Amusan, the Nigerian 2022 100 meters hurdles world champion record holder, are set to open their track and field account at the Queen's Grace Jackson meet at the National Stadium on Saturday. Chairman of the organizing committee, Olive McNaughton, says Jackson and Amusan will run in the women's 60 meters.
In our 60 meters, we have Shericka Jackson starting again at the Queen's Grace Jackson meet, running the 60 meters. And we have also the record holder, Kobe and Vanasan, who is training at racers who's scheduled to run the 60 meters. So the 60 meters is usually one of our stellar events. And again, we have a top lineup. We have Serena Cole, we have Jeanette Smith coming back. And so I'm really excited to see that once again, the Queen's Grace Jackson meet, we're doing our small part in the development of track and field.
And McNaughton says several other international athletes will be on display.
We do have a caliber of overseas athletes training in Jamaica that will be there. We have the Bahamian from Bahamas, Anthony Strawn. We have from England, Great Britain. We have a series of different persons competing.
That's Olive McNaughton. Bangladesh's 60-run win over the West Indies of women in the second game of their 3-match one-day international series at Warner Park yesterday has taken them one step closer to qualifying automatically for this year's World Cup in India. Bangladesh are currently lying 7th in the qualifying cycle. They've got 21 points, the same as New Zealand, or in 6th position. Now, the top 5 at the end of the qualifying cycle will gain automatic spots at the World Cup, while the remaining 4 will play off with 2 other teams for 2 more spots. Now, if Bangladesh beat the West Indies or there's a no result in the final game on Friday, the Bangladeshis will join the host country India, Australia, England, South Africa and Sri Lanka as automatic qualifiers. Friday's game is a final in the cycle, which started in 2022, and the West Indies, currently 9th on the table, will hope for a series win to aid in the quality of opponents they get in the playoff. West Indies spinner Karishma Ramparak says the team is very much aware of that reality.
Looking into qualifiers, we really want to know who we want to play against in the qualifiers, and obviously Bangladesh has a shot at that. So we're going to come harder next game so that, I guess it's a bit easier for us then.
Ramharak bagged a career best 4 for 33 in Tuesday's defeat, and she says she'd be happy to trade that for the victory.
It's always good to be in the wicket, so I'm really happy, to get career best figures, but I would have liked to win the game, obviously. I guess we didn't, apply ourselves in the middle. I think we lost wickets in clusters, and that really put the team under pressure.
Karishma Ramharak, West Indies women's team spinner. President of the Aquatic Sport Association of Jamaica, the ASAJ, Lance Rochester, says they're extremely proud to partner with Y Speedos for the 29th staging of the Carl Dahlhaus Memorial Invitational Swim Meet at the National Stadium Pool, January 31 to February 2. Over 400 swimmers representing 13 locals and 4 international teams from New York and Florida will compete for the coveted Carl Dahlhaus Trophy.
We're very excited to have the visitors coming from overseas who help to improve the competition environment for our local athletes. We are sure that this meet will be well executed, as it always is, and will give great opportunities to our athletes to test where they are at this stage in the year and to motivate them to train harder going into the future and to qualify for national teams later down in the year.
That's the ASAJ President Lance Rochester. The meet will feature 2 commemorative awards. The Matthew Hilton Trophy for 13 and 14 boys, 200 meters breaststroke champion, and the Sarah Newland Martin Trophy for 15 to 17 girls, 100 meters breaststroke champion. And finally, Columbia University senior Emily McDonald continued her impressive start to the 2025 swimming calendar Competing against Brown University, McDonald won the 50 and 100 meters yard free in pool record times. She took down her own pool Jersey Ursus Natorium record in the 100 yard free with a swim of 49.68 seconds. The pool record was set in 2018 by Mary Ashby of Columbia with a swim of 49.81. In the 50 yard free, she won in 22.83 seconds ahead of Brown's Crystal Ewan, 23.27. That lowered the 2019 mark of Ashby, 22.94. Emily is now the overall school record holder with a 22.43 second swim. Brown won the competition 194 to 106. McDonald later continued with her record-breaking performances against Cornell. She lowered the T-pool record in the 100-yard free with a swim 49.51. The old record was 49.89. The 200 meters, the 200-yard free style was won in a minute 49.33. The record in the 50-yard free 22.70 came under threat as McDonald completed the freestyle treble, and she took the event in 22.81 seconds. And that will do for sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:20.
Visit Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore, for all your prescription needs, gifts, personal care, household and stationery items. The temperature by Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore is
28 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's 27 in the western city, Montego Bay.
Pay nothing down on a shiny, brand new Hyundai vehicle with free loan payments until March 2025. Yes, get a 2024 Hyundai vehicle and get free loan payments until March 2025. 100% financing, 2 years free service, 0 processing fees, and other sweet goodies. Drive into the new year with your new ride. Goodbye, old car. Hello, Hyundai. Hyundai. For free payments promotion. Limited stock available. Offer while stocks last. Conditions apply. Start your fitness journey today and make 2025 your healthiest yet with Express Fitness. State-of-the-art equipment, expert trainers, and encouraging community are here to support you every step of the way. Join now and take the first step towards a stronger, happier you. Express Fitness, starting at only $9,500 per month with 11 locations island-wide. Your gym for all your needs. Visit www.expressfitnessja.com to sign up today.
Sunday, February 16, 2025 will be pure energy and excitement as thousands hit the streets, running, walking, and wheeling with a purpose. The Sagicor Sigma Run isn't just a road race, it's a celebration of people coming together to make a difference. Don't miss the Caribbean's biggest running event, Sagicor Sigma Run 2025. Visit SagicorSigmaRun.com and register now. Run for the fun, donate for the cause. Sponsored by Walden, Pan Jam, National Baking Company, Reggae Marathon, Catherine's Peak, Malay Media, and Whistling Frog.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jackama figure dig the wall. Upper Total Tools. Beat walker figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand. Total Tools. We rent them, sell them, and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When I say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option.
Total Tools, located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slipe Road, Kingston.
And lot C6 Jacksaw, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
Taboo topics, boy things after dark,
Riveting discussion,
celebrity news and interviews,
topics that are shunned by society,
and everything else in between. Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings, each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m. Boyatings After Dark. No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored. Boyatings After Dark.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Robianne Williams. A special greetings to our YouTubers over there. We want to welcome you and we want to invite you to weigh in live in our comment section on today's public opinion. And we'll start things off no less than 50%. That's the pass rate the Ministry of Education is targeting for the next cohort of students writing the mathematics paper in the upcoming Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate or CSEC exams. 50, no less than 50%. Permanent Secretary Dr. Kassan Troop shared the vision at a media conference at the regional headquarters of the University of the West Indies in Mona last Friday. Now, only 33% of Jamaican students who sat the CSEC mathematics last year passed the exam, 33%. The region as a whole saw a reduction in the number of students who passed the examination. Only 36% of students passed CSEC Math in 2024, down from 43% who passed the exams in 2023. Now, Permanent Secretary Dr. Kassan Troop, she outlined some of the measures the ministry is already undertaking at a number of schools to improve the performance of our students.
We have to extend learning for our students and we have to support our teachers. We also have to improve accountability. Chairman alluded to that. It's very weak in the ministry, and I'm saying it publicly, very weak in the central ministry, very weak in our schools. We have work to do, right? And of course, we have to now track performance and celebrate the gains. Those are the elements in the tactical approach, and we are in the field. 56 high schools are being focused on at the high school level. 189 primary schools are being focused on. We must move the 40% achievement in math to no less than 50%. And I'm making it public because it must be done.
Indeed, we do have some work to do. 33% is, wow, yeah. So, the public opinion question this evening we're asking, the government has set a 50% pass rate for CSEC Math. We're asking, is that ambitious enough? What do you think? What are your views? What are your thoughts? Is 50% pass rate in CSEC Math? Is that an ambitious target set by the government, the Education Ministry? I'll go to the comments on our Facebook platform where Philip Jackson is saying, to me, it would be better. The higher marks of 70% would mean you would be better at the craft of the subject. But I see what they're trying to do. But this could make us weak in that subject. You mean weaker? Weaker, Philip Jackson? But he continues to say it's still better than those who buy the pass on paper but not have it in their natural ability to do the work. Yeah? Prince Wellington is saying, generalship. They're just throwing numbers out there or they're not being honest. Some of the poor picnic them need major help and a lot of schools have little or no resources. These people have who they want to manipulate the numbers and put a band-aid on a big sore foot when it's necessary. That's coming from Prince Wellington. Philip Kidd is saying it's not ambitious enough, but we don't expect any better from the JLP government. Wow. Shins for Life saying to us that he did a few courses as an adult last year at UWI Open Campus and the pass mark was 60%. This CSEC pass rate should be 75%. Education eliminates crime, he says. Michelle Bernard is saying math is too hard for me, but I think they should ask for 70% in order to get to that 50% mark. Yeah? And Natalie Winter believes that it's a start, the 50% pass rate that the Ministry of Education is saying, a target for CSEC Math. She's saying it's a start, but not the ultimate goal. Yeah? Not the ultimate goal indeed. Bo Winkle is questioning on the X platform if not even 55%. Yeah? Not even 55%. All right. On Instagram, let me go on Instagram to the question. The government has set a 50% pass rate for CSEC Math. We're asking you if that pass rate, if it's ambitious enough. One pardon is saying it's a shame on the government. They should be setting it to achieve a 100% passes. Well, we did 33%, so I don't know how would I reach from 33% to 100 real quick. All right. Barrington Foster is saying, yes, we can't fool ourselves. We must take time. Plus, resources are needed. Parenting is another factor. This ain't new. From ever since, Jamaica on a wide scale can't do math. And I don't think it's Jamaica-centric alone, I think, it's a challenge. Barrington is saying he left school in the 90s and it was evident from before the 90s. One Empress is saying, with the unfortunate state of brain rot among our young people, yes. Let me see if I can get in a few more here. On our YouTube platform, Father Perry is questioning how can 50% be a passing grade? Well, Father Perry, we're at 33%. So what the permanent secretary is saying is no less than 50. No less than 50. Only 33% of Jamaican students who sat the CSEC math last year passed the exam. So she's saying a pass rate no less than 50%. So when you look at it in its totality, right, 33% pass last year, and the permanent secretary is saying no less than 50%. All right, let me see if I can get in the comments here. Joseph Bryden is saying it's a start. Nitrogen, math is difficult at this time when less reasoning is needed to use the cell phone. Yeah? All right. Let's see if we can get in some more. Ega is saying, an economist said life is unfair and exams just show us how unfair it is. People with the skills to achieve mastery get ahead while the rest don't. Yeah. Sharon Blake is saying, I got math. Iron Lady, Jamaica teachers are worried about students here and not teaching. Nicole Samuel believes that 50% is reasonable. Take it in stages. And I really do think so too, Nicole. As a person, and I can say this outright, as a person who struggled with math, there were times when I cried like a baby. I'm a big stage in high school, my ball. Because it was challenging. I struggled. And up to this day, it's still a struggle. Yeah? It's still a struggle. So I can understand and I can definitely say that 50%, in my opinion, is reasonable because we're at 33%. So she's saying no less than 50. Valmac is saying math pass rate is low. 50% is ambitious. I would set it at 40% for a year. 40% for year 1, 50% for year 2, and continue to move it upward. Affectionate Forest is saying if 50% of all students pass, that's a balance in the country. Yeah? And Becca Hedge, 50% is a good pass rate. Better late than never. That's a start. Yeah. Yeah. Ursuline Bowen is saying, I'm not a certified teacher, but I need a job to teach math. I used to help my classmates when the teacher couldn't relate to them. Some teachers don't have a clue about math. I don't know. I think it takes a different approach. Maybe some different approach needs to be taken whenever math is being taught. Sharon Bless believes that it's a start. Not even the great USA get 50% in math because JA student Brighton. Bali is saying majority in the chest, majority can't do math. Majority of them never passed math. Majority in the chat, majority of the people in the chat can't do math according to Bali. Marigold Weber saying she set an achievable objective. Yeah. Honest D says you have to be realistic. It's ambitious. This is, however, an indictment on our teachers. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a challenge. It's a struggle. We can overcome. Yeah, we can overcome. And I believe that 50, no less than 50, as the permanent secretary rightfully said, is a reasonable pass rate. It's a reasonable pass rate. And the question we asked was, is it ambitious enough? Yeah. Let me see if I can just get in a few more. Mick Hull is saying, I failed math first time. I had over 11 different teachers from 1 to 5. It's not ambitious. They just have to monitor it properly. Totally agree. Totally agree. Joseph Bryden, but no less than 50 must be good. Oh boy, listen, you have people who do math, CXC, CSEC over and over, and you know, they try and they're determined to get it right. And as I say, we can overcome this, you know, we really and truly can overcome this with different approach, take different approach. I don't know. Find something, the teachers, the ministry, find something. And also the parents. It has to be an engaged session. You know, maybe the Saturday classes, the evening classes, you just immerse yourself into the subject. Yeah? I am not a numbers person. I struggled, I can say that. On and off here, I struggled. And up to this day, I struggle. But no less than 50%, we hope and pray. Yeah? Thank you guys so much for participating in Public Opinion. The Business Report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, industrial automation and control solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:34.
Annual eye examinations not only assess your vision but may be life-saving. Eye tests may detect serious health issues that go beyond your vision. Call IQ Optical to schedule your comprehensive eye test today.
The temperature by IQ Optical is
28 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 27 out west in Montego Bay. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. Jamaica's unemployment rate continues to fall to record lows. The latest information provided by the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin, shows the country's unemployment rate falling to 3.5%. This slightly outperformed the previous historic low of 3.6%. The Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin, they updated their model for calculating the country's unemployment rate at the end of 2023. Now, before the model was updated, the country's lowest unemployment rate was 4.2%. Jamaica again achieved this rate in April of 2024 under the updated model. The unemployment rate has continued to decline. It's now moved down, we said before, from 3.6% in July 2024 to its latest rate of 3.5% as of October. According to Statin, the female unemployment rate was higher at 4.5%, while the unemployment rate for males was 2.6%. In other news, the shareholders of Barita Cornerstone Group have voted in favor of a reorganization aimed at bringing the entity into compliance with amendments to the Banking Services Act. This decision was made during court-sanctioned meetings held on January 20, 2025 for Cornerstone United Holdings, Jamaica Limited, and Barita Investments Limited. The Barita Cornerstone Group's reorganization will be implemented through a composite scheme of arrangement as outlined under the Companies Act of 2004. And finally, in the currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost 157 Jamaican dollars and 72 cents to buy $1 US, 195 Jamaican dollars and 13 cents to buy $1 British pound, and 109 Jamaican dollars and 93 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. Good evening.
The Ministry of National Security presents Cyber Smart Conference 2025, February 11 to 12 from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. at the AC Marriott Hotel under the theme Stay Safe in Cyberspace. Join leading experts and professionals to advance cybersecurity practices and build a safer cyberspace for all. Gain the knowledge and tools to address emerging threats in the digital world. To register and for more details, visit mns.gov.jm. That's the Cyber Smart Conference 2025, February 11 to 12 at the AC Marriott Hotel. See you there!
Enough power tool, big to small. Jackama figure dig the wall. Upper Total Tools. Weed whacker figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand. Total Tools. We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When I say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option.
Total Tools, located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slipe Road, Kingston.
And lot C6 Jacksaw, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
Are you equipped to protect your organization from financial crime? The University of the Commonwealth Caribbean, in partnership with the Anti-Money Laundering and Financial Crimes Institute, is offering internationally recognized certifications in anti-money laundering, improved compliance with certifications in FCPA, fraud risk management, countering the financing of terrorism, and more. Visit www.ucc.edu.jm or call 876-906-3214 for more information.
More savings, more choices. Get active with Active Home Center. The one-stop shop for everything for your home. We have more savings, more choices, unbelievable prices. Wide selection with the latest style. The kitchen, bathroom, right down to the tile. Buy the hottest items on spot, don't miss out. Best options under one roof, no doubt. More savings, more choices.
Visit us in store or online at www.activehomecenter.com.
We have more savings, more choices.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
Do you remember this?
We are having an earthquake. Oh, God.
Don't worry, we never forget it. But in all seriousness, earthquakes are deemed the most dangerous natural disaster. We can never predict when one will hit our lovely Jamaica. But we can raise awareness and help you to prepare for one with our radio segment known as Seismic Dialogue. Tune in to the Seismic Dialogue every Monday at 7 p.m. during Nationwide at 5. We'll have discussions, listener interactions, and more. That's the Seismic Dialogue. Mondays at 7 p.m. during Nationwide at 5. Preparedness is key. Secure what matters, have a plan, and remain calm when the ground shakes. Brought to you by Digital Commodities, Conrad Douglas and Associates Limited, Coast to Coast Concrete Company Limited, and the Real Estate Board. Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to the nation's business. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
My name is Sanjay Lewis, and we're turning our attention to Prime Minister Andrew Holness because he says the government is advanced with plans to consolidate the country's various payroll taxes into a single tax deduction system. He also says the government has established a new task force to improve the ease of doing business in the country. The Streaming Processes for Efficiency and Economic Development SPEED Task Force will be launched in February.
The Prime Minister was speaking at the Jamaica Stock Exchange Regional Investments and Capital Markets Conference in Kingston on Tuesday, and we are now going to play that back in full.
Thank you. This is maybe my, certainly my ninth year addressing the Stock Exchange Conference as Prime Minister. And I have addressed it in other capacities. So maybe I've done 15 years of the 20 years. And I have not missed one of the last 10 years. Because this is a calendar event, a marquee event, and a very important event for setting the stage for the rest of the year when it comes to the economy. And as I survey the audience, I do see some familiar faces, faithful ones who come to the conference every year. But this year I'm also seeing many new faces. And Marlene, I must also say that the attendance this year is great. I'm sad, Marlene, that you're going. And I'm sure it's the sentiment of everyone who has interacted with you. You're such a lovely person. But don't worry, we will find something for you to do. Welcome, Minister Duggan, or Duggins, forgive me. Let me acknowledge members of the diplomatic corps who are here, and our newly minted Minister of Finance and her husband. You know, I must commend Stephen Whittingham for his presentation. It is clear that he has been following what I've been saying. I've been preaching this issue of productivity now for the last 3 years. It is part of the pivot and the next chapter. And I'm very happy when I hear senior executives of business speak so passionately about productivity. It is a subject that we speak about in low tones, almost fearful, lest we touch on social corns, as we call it. But it is something that we will have to confront as a nation, this issue of productivity. And I'm very happy that you have dealt with it here, and I hope that our media will take the presentation, it is a presentation of substance, and that our journalists who we depend on will analyze it and further explain it to the population, the importance of productivity. Angus, as usual, your presentation is a very powerful one, and I note that whilst you were being very diplomatic in saying that the government is supporting the development of the market and bringing new products and helping the financial sector to bring new products to the market, I know you're really saying the government should do more. It is such a pleasure to be here at the 20th staging of the Regional Investment and Capital Market Conference. Over the past 2 decades, this conference has become the signature calendar event for the investment and capital markets industry and epitomizes the dynamism and resilience of the financial sector, not only in Jamaica, but in the Caribbean region. I always make it a point to be here because of the significance I place on this event. As we embark on this new year, it is fitting to reflect on Jamaica's economic journey, a story of resilience, determination, and transformation. A decade ago, our nation faced daunting economic challenges. We had very high debt levels, high unemployment, volatile inflation, exchange rate instability, and minimal or no growth. I get the feeling that we have forgotten about that. We are in a new normal. Today, that new normal, we stand as a testament to the power of prudential management, strategic reforms, and the indomitable spirit of our people. Let me do a quick comparison of some key macroeconomic variables which will cement the point of how we have moved from instability to stability, from crisis to now being on the launch pad for growth. In 2016, our debt to GDP was approximately 120%. Today, we are projecting that at the end of this fiscal year, in March 2025, we will be 68.8% debt to GDP. This is the lowest we would have been since the 1970s. I want us to appreciate the economic journey. We're just getting back to where we were in the 1970s. Unemployment in 2016 was 13.7%. Unemployment today is now 3.6%, the lowest it has been in our history. Youth unemployment, when I took office, was at 32%. Now it is at 10.4%. Since 2016, we have created 245,000 new jobs. This is at an average of 28,000 new jobs per year. Before that, we were creating maybe 15,000 jobs on average per year. Average annual inflation since my administration took office has been 5.7%, even with the COVID spike. 5.7%. This is after I've said the COVID spike, and we had that spike for approximately 3 years. And this is the lowest average annual inflation that has been achieved by any government since 1972. In the year immediately before we took office in 2016, the Jamaican dollar depreciated by 5.4% relative to the US dollar. In the last 12 months, the Jamaican dollar has depreciated 0.9%. In fact, the annual average rate of depreciation of the Jamaican dollar relative to the US dollar for the entire duration of my administration has been 2.9%. Again, this is the lowest rate of currency depreciation by far under any political administration since 1972, the year I was born. This exchange rate stability did not happen by chance or by good fortune. We have exchange rate stability because of two factors. One, we are now running a balance of payment surplus on our current account. In fiscal year 2022-2023, we achieved a balance of payment surplus of US $345 million, or 1.9% of GDP. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the first time Jamaica recorded a balance of payment surplus since 1966. However, this was not just a one-off occurrence. In the 2023-2024 financial year, we again recorded a surplus of US $610 million, or 3.1% of GDP. We have a very robust foreign exchange reserve right now. Our net international reserves, when we took office, was somewhere in the region of about $2.3 billion. At the end of December 2024, our reserve, Gregory, stands at $5.6 billion US. Again, the highest ever in our history. And I'm going to return to that point, because when I say these things, sometimes our public listening will say, you have all of this money in reserve. Why don't you use it to do something? Without understanding that if you take away the reserves, you take away the stability. It is the reserves that gives the stability. And in a highly politicized environment, especially when information is not always accurately interpreted, you can have perverse outcomes. And so I have to take the time sometimes to remind the public of why it is we make the fiscal decisions that we make, that ultimately it is for the benefit of you, the consumer, the household. If we make bad economic decisions, even if they seem to bring short-term relief, you are going to pay for it dearly in the long run. So, another point that I would wish to emphasize to this gathering of investors is that Jamaica is the only country in the region with no foreign exchange controls and a freely floating market-determined exchange rate. Yeah. Investors will appreciate that. This is a place to come and do business. Our external credit rating, as measured by Standard & Poor's, has improved by 7 notches from the lowest level of SD, selective default, in 2013 to BB-. We are now just 3 notches away from achieving investment grade. And if you listen carefully to what Gregory said, it is clear that our bonds are behaving as if, or rather the market is treating our bonds as if they are safe harbor for investment grade. Can you imagine coming from selective default, being viewed as the economic basket case of the region? Clap yourself. Just today, I had sight of the results of the latest Business and Consumer Confidence Survey. The index of business confidence has surged to 149.3 points in the fourth quarter of 2024, an increase of 12.9% over the previous quarter and 7.3% overall for the year, or rather 7.3% over last year. In fact, the index is at the highest level since the pandemic and less than 2 points shy of its all-time high of 151 points, which was set in Q1 2019. Nearly 70% of firms consider it a good time for investment, up from 53% in the previous quarter. Now that tells you the resilience of the economy. Obviously, the previous quarter would have been impacted by Hurricane Beryl and other weather events that followed. But look how quickly confidence has recovered. Consumer confidence has rebounded in Q4 2024 with an increase of 4% over the previous quarter. Macroeconomic statistics, are one thing, but let us look at some other statistics. Let's take poverty. When my administration took office, the poverty prevalence was 21.4%. We reduced that to 11% in 2019. It shot up after 2019 to 21%, and we understand why. This was during the pandemic years. Now, the latest estimate is that poverty prevalence is about 12.3% in 2023. We expect that the next survey will have this below 11%. This is very important because in a society like Jamaica, where inequalities are considerable, it's one thing to preach to this audience about how well we are doing economically. It's another thing for the people who are struggling every day to recognize that the good economic results are translating into improvements for their everyday living. Let's look at the minimum wage. When we took office, the minimum wage was 6,200 Jamaican dollars, or 51 US dollar per week. Now it is 15,000 Jamaican dollars per week, or 96 US dollars per week. Not fantastic, but it is an improvement, and I can tell you there is more to come. This administration believes that we must share the economic progress and share it equitably. Our abiding mission is to lift people out of poverty. We must end absolute poverty in Jamaica. That is the abiding mission of this government. Let's talk about crime. I'm told I should mention this in an investor meeting, but there is nothing secret. You go on the internet, so let's deal with it and put it into context. Jamaica is improving its security. The challenge with the improvement in security is that it takes time for it to have an effect. I give you an analogy. Someone dropped in a pothole, and they called me. I spent 30 minutes on the phone with them. And I probably shouldn't say this, but I had to volunteer to replace a tire. Okay? 7 days after, please don't, I can't take any more calls. So 7 days after, the pothole was fixed. And I got a call to say, boy, Prime Minister, I see the work going, I see the roads being fixed, I like it. So fixing the pothole, fixing the roads, they have an immediate impact on the misery index. Almost immediate. But consider someone who lost a loved one to a murder. Even if I were to say the murder rate is cut in half, the perception lags. So the security issues take some time to take effect. And the truth is, the mobilization for security is far more complex than, let's say the mobilization to repair roads. So the security journey has been a long and arduous one. But we have made significant progress in the transformation of the JCF in leadership, manpower, and material. Significant. Their investigative capacity has increased significantly. Their intelligence capabilities have increased significantly. Our domain awareness and control capabilities have increased significantly. We have made massive investments. That is why you're seeing 2 years of reduction in murders. 7.5% the year before, and now almost 20% this year. And you will continue to see reductions as the JCF and the Jamaica Defense Force and the other security entities execute Plan Secure Jamaica, which we laid in 2016. And that is having an effect, a real impact. And the biggest measure of that is that we have cut the number of gangs from over 300 to now just under 170 active gangs. And we continue to degrade their capabilities. The biggest impact, of course, is that major crimes declined by 14% in 2023, and they are now 40% lower than they were in 2015. And in fact, we had a decline in major crimes in 2024 by about 8%. And in fact, in 2024, we are now reporting a crime level that is probably lower than what it was in 2002. So we are making significant impact on crime. The purpose of the comparison is to show that by any objective measure, Jamaica is in a fundamentally different place today than when my administration took office. No other nation in the world has matched the scale of Jamaica's economic turnaround in a decade. And I am not the only one saying that. Gregory Fisher just said it in probably more eloquent terms than I have. The country has made significant strides. We have transformed our economy. We must now move to transform our society, transform our infrastructure, transform our health, education, make Jamaica safe, and make Jamaica truly the place of choice for people to come and do business, but above all else, to make Jamaica an affordable place to live. So Jamaica's economic progress over the last decade has been remarkable, but growth remains below the level needed to achieve our full potential. Historically, periods of growth were followed by years of decline. Today, we experience sustained, consistent growth. Yes, we may have some interruptions. COVID, Hurricane Beryl. But immediately after, 1 or 2 quarters after, you see the recovery starting. So, before the pandemic, we achieved 20 consecutive quarters of growth, followed by 13 consecutive quarters post the pandemic. The decline in the July to September 2024 quarter caused by Hurricane Beryl and the likely impact of Tropical Storm Raphael and heavy rains in the October to December period are temporary setbacks. Now, I know some persons are heralding this as an harbinger of things to come. This is not so. The fundamentals of the Jamaican economy are strong. Despite these challenges, this represents the longest economic expansion in Jamaica's independent history. Longest period of expansion. However, growth remains anemic, averaging less than 1% per annum over the past decade. And that is the challenge. How do we take this economic stability and convert it into accelerated growth? That's the challenge. So as a small developing island state, our economy remains vulnerable to climatic events. And to achieve our national development goals, we must significantly accelerate growth to ensure a resilient and thriving future. That is what we mean when we say we're going to pivot. We're not going to take our foot off the step that we have planted it on, which is the fiscal responsibility and management of our economy and the stability. But we need to turn, as in the netball analogy, to face the goal, we need to make a turn to get onto another step, and that is the step of growth. And that is the pivot. That brings us to the next chapter. My administration is preparing to lead Jamaica into the next chapter. And we have given some definition as to what that chapter will look like. Having been on this path for the last decade, we can sometimes lose sight of the fact that stability was never the destination. Stability is the foundation. It is the foundation on which we will build. This is why in November 2024, I announced a pivot in our national economic policy direction, the pivot towards growth. The growth agenda comprises 6 key pillars, and the tagline that we're using of this pivot is Aspire. Access to economic opportunity for all, that is the inclusive growth agenda. Safety and security, we will continue to push safety and security. People, and our focus on human capital development. You know, Stephen mentioned labor productivity. That is what this is about. How do we build our human capital to produce more? And that is training and education. Infrastructure development. Jamaica has aging infrastructure caused by lack of consistent investment. In other words, we went through almost 4 decades of disinvestment in our infrastructure. And when aged infrastructure meets epiphenomenal climate events and weather events that are outside of the normal, the destruction it wreaks on the infrastructure is far greater than what would ordinarily occur, which is why we experience all of these potholes and landslides and roads breaking up. When you put those 2 things together, the only way to overcome that is to grow your economy very fast so that you can rebuild the infrastructure, not to the old standards, but rebuild the infrastructure to new standards that can withstand the impact of climate change. And that is what we're going to be doing in the next chapter. And then there is the reform of bureaucracy to improve ease, speed, and cost of doing business. You know, when the sociologists invented the term bureaucracy, it was not a pejorative. In fact, it was a compliment, especially for colonial governments, because they needed to have a bureaucracy to run an empire. And in fact, you really couldn't be an empire without a bureaucracy. Bureaucracy was such an important thing. But like everything else, they become self-indulgent. They exist solely to fulfill themselves. And it doesn't really matter that people who need to cross a bridge can't have the bridge. What matters is that you comply with all the rules in order to build that bridge. Oh God, that puts the politicians in a really difficult spot. Because the people in Troy want their bridge, but we have to get all the approvals before we can build the bridge. So the question for us is, how do we comply and at the same time become more efficient? You can't give up the compliance because that's another way in which the people won't get the bridge. But then the other question is, how do you increase the speed, change the processes, remove unnecessary regulations so that the compliance is easier, so that the people get the bridge? And we have spent a lot of years in the last decade putting on all kinds of new legislation. We have layered very thickly regulations and all kinds of legislation which may not all be relevant or properly aligned. It needs to be rethought. It needs to be re-engineered. And that is an entire process that government has to get involved in. And that is a part of our bureaucracy reform. We're not anti-bureaucracy. We are for efficient bureaucracy. And by the way, Jamaica is not the only country going through that. There is something called DOGE or DOGE. And then economic diversification and development of new industries. If we're going to grow, we cannot continue to rely on the 5 or so pillars of our economy. We have to branch out into new areas. And we're going to have to be fearless in branching out into these new areas. You know, we are a service-based economy. And we're a service-based economy largely because the cost of energy is high. We have to figure out how to get the cost of energy lower in Jamaica so that we can build out more manufacturing-based industries. So some people hear me talk about, oh, nuclear, and it's all, you know, why are we thinking about nuclear? Well, you have to think about renewables. Thankfully, the price of renewables, particularly solar, is coming down rapidly. Technology is improving. Battery capabilities are improving. But it's not going to give you the quantum that you need. And as nuclear technology is receiving now greater interest and new investment because of AI, that new investment will deliver a new era of nuclear technology in small modular nuclear reactors. It's not there yet, but it is going to take Jamaica 10 to 20 years to build up the human resource capacity to be able to manage SMRs. So let us not think small and think that we can't do it. We have a very small nuclear reactor at the University of the West Indies for over 30 years there. We are building a small nucleus of scientists there who can manage it. But if we're really going to think about Jamaica as an economic powerhouse, we have to solve the energy issue. And let's face it, I read somewhere where I see Microsoft or Google, one of them, is planning to take over an old nuclear plant and run it, a company. Come on, we have the capabilities. Recently, I was in New York and I met a young lady, and she said to me, Prime Minister, I'm a nuclear scientist. I work for the government of the United States, and I would really want to come to Jamaica to help with a nuclear program here. We have to start to think in that regard. Yes, there are challenges. Yes, there are problems. But let us not close the door on it. Let's think about it very carefully. Let's develop the capacity and put ourselves in a position that should the technology become feasible, we are at the head of the line to implement. And that's why we have taken steps to form partnerships with Canada to start to train our people to develop the capacity here. And even if we don't have a small modular nuclear reactor, having nuclear technical skills is still very good for our economy, for science, and in other areas. But the real diversification has to come from our people. Other countries have oil, they have gold, they have ports and canals. Jamaica has people. That's our goal. And for years we have been exporting that gold to other countries. Jamaica is a net exporter of talent to the world. There is a change for the next 4 years at least. Let me say no more. We face a problem here in Jamaica where, when I say that we have a labor shortage, for some people they are shocked. Because around their community, they see a lot of young men digging holes in their hand mills. They see a lot of young men unemployed and young women underemployed or not doing anything. But that's precisely why we have a labor shortage. Because we need skilled, trained labor into the workforce. So the investment in getting all our potential labor force trained, that is going to be the focus in the next chapter. Because we need to have not just low-level service, but we have to get higher-level services in order to grow the economy. The financial sector is one area in which we can expand rapidly and bring in more higher-level services. And in fact, we can make it an export industry. The services, the persons providing the services reside here, but do work remotely for people all over the world and companies and corporations all over the world. We have it now, we call it the BPO, the global services sector, but we must improve the level of skills to get higher value services to bring in greater revenues into the country. And that is going to be a target focus for the government in the next chapter. So Aspire is designed to create a virtuous cycle of peace, productivity, and prosperity. At its core, it is the recognition that growth must be inclusive, equitable, and resilient. We envision a Jamaica where every citizen, regardless of their background or circumstances, has the opportunity to thrive. Let me be clear. This pivot to growth does not in any way mean that we're going to abandon fiscal prudence. I have to say that, because I don't want any misinterpretation. We will never go back to the days of run with it, not under my watch. We have worked too hard and sacrificed too much as a country to ever go back to that. Good fiscal management and macroeconomic stability are now business as usual for my administration. We have been putting out quite a bit of information on some of the pillars of Aspire. We've talked a lot about security, infrastructure. I believe we need to say a little bit more on skills. But I want to focus this evening on improving the ease and cost of doing business. Reducing red tape and bureaucracy is central to Jamaica's growth agenda. To achieve rapid economic growth, we aim to become the most business-friendly and citizen-focused country in the region. Many current approval, permitting, and regulatory processes were designed during a period of fiscal constraint. And that is the reality. With our debt to GDP ratio now significantly reduced, it is time to streamline these systems. We will simplify approvals, reduce wait times, and eliminate outdated barriers and unnecessary layers of bureaucracy. This effort benefits not only large investors, but also micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. Efficient government processes will also make it easier and faster for citizens to interact with public agencies. We are determined to end the outdated notion that efficiency compromises quality. Or put it another way, if it didn't take long to be done, it wasn't done well. We are the country of the fastest man alive. We must translate that speed on the track to the speed of doing business. To drive this transformation, I will appoint the Speed Task Force, streamlining processes for efficiency and economic development. Speed. And we will do that by the end of February. The task force will identify bottlenecks, recommend actionable solutions, and deliver tangible outcomes within specified timelines. Whether through a single team or a rotating group of focused individuals on specific areas, The mechanism will ensure Jamaica's business environment meets world-class standard. We are aiming for business at the speed of thought. We are implementing a phased process of digitalizing government services that interface with businesses and citizens. The days of standing in long lines and navigating through mountains of paperwork will come to an end. We will be rolling out end-to-end digital systems for business registration, tax filing, and permit approvals. Our e-government platforms will be designed to ensure that e-services are accessible anytime, anywhere, and on any device. The foundation upon which all of these digital services will be built is the new Digital National Identification, which has already gone live and is scheduled for full rollout early this year. I got my NIDS card, and I give you a little joke. So I got my NIDS card, the Governor General got his, and a few others in the pilot phase. And some other persons have gotten. So one person who got the NIDS card went to the bank with the NIDS card. And the teller took the card and said, "Is what is?" Stephen, you're laughing. You know, there will always be some skepticism, some fear of technology, some resistance. Let me say that the NIDS card by law is the only identification you need if you present it. It is the national identification card. So once you present that card, no bank, no other entity should be asking you to present some other form of identification. It is the most comprehensive and robust identification system that Jamaica has. The technology behind it is cutting edge, and it is the foundation on which we will build the digital society. The government is modernizing Jamaica's legislative and regulatory framework to position the country as an international business and financial service hub. Recent legislation has raised the participating share capital limit for the junior stock exchange, the junior market companies, from 500 million to 750 million. You mentioned that. Reflecting strong support for this market, which now boasts 48 listed companies with a market capitalization of $148.5 billion as at December 2004. I believe somebody was whispering to me, when is it going to take effect? So the legislation has been passed in the lower house. It goes to the Senate on Friday. I'm certain it will pass the Senate there. And then it goes to the Governor General for his royal assent. And then it becomes law. So within a matter of days, that will be the new share capital limit. While Jamaica already has a robust financial sector, further modernization is essential to meet international standards. The Jamaica International Financial Services Authority, JIFSA, and I just pause here to say that from my first time in cabinet, which was in 2007, by 2009, we said we were going to establish Jamaica as an international financial service center. To this day, it has not happened. We have passed a lot of legislation. I can't blame that totally on bureaucracy. Much of it is policy drift. Sometimes governments say they're going to do it, lack of commitment, and it doesn't get done, intervening circumstances. But as I stand here today, it is our intention to ensure that we complete the legislative framework to ensure that Jamaica can become an international financial service center. We have passed the Partnership General Act. We have passed the Partnership Limited Act. We have passed the Trust Act. We have passed the Trust and Corporate Services Providers Act. and the Segregated Account Companies Act. And the final piece that we now need to pass is the Limited Liabilities Company Act, and this is being refined to align with global standards. This act aims to provide a more business-friendly framework than the Companies Act, which what we will do is make this new act familiar to the global community. This legislative suite reflects the government's commitment to creating a modern business environment that supports both local and foreign enterprises while ensuring compliance with global standards. It will offer new business structures, attract investments, and solidify Jamaica's place as an international business hub. I want to talk a little bit about tax reform. Reforming Jamaica's tax system, including customs, is a critical focus of our government for sustainable economic growth. Despite facing the worst global health and economic crisis in a century, my administration has delivered 9 consecutive budgets with no new taxes. Read my lips. 9 consecutive budgets with no new taxes. Not even a tax on imported food items. But alongside that, we have given significant tax reductions and tax giveback, a remarkable achievement for a developing country. First time ever that we have given a tax giveback recently, and people are still getting it. We are committed to further simplifying tax structures and streamlining processes to reduce compliance burdens and foster growth. Expanding online tax payment systems and tax administration services are key steps. Additionally, tax incentives and regulations are being reviewed to enhance competitiveness and drive sustainable economic growth. And these are some key initiatives. We are exploring tax legislation to incentivize the repatriation of businesses, including their activities, associated assets and profits to Jamaica. So we know that there are many Jamaican companies that have chosen to domicile in various other jurisdictions. We want to bring you back home, and we will make it very favorable for you to do so. We are moving forward with the long talked about project to consolidate the various payroll taxes into a single payroll tax deduction. Again, this started in 2007, and it meandered through administrations, just didn't get done. I remember when it was first posited by former Prime Minister Bruce Golding. We are now well on our way to have it done. In fact, I've given the tax authorities a deadline. I won't say the deadline publicly yet, but they have a deadline. And I received an update from the Ministry of Finance and the Tax Administration of Jamaica on the project, and we are targeting implementation of this by January 2026. So by January 2026, we should have the single social contribution payroll system established. But I've given them an earlier deadline to make sure that the system is actually up. We are exploring an increase in the threshold at which small businesses need to register and account for GCT. In 2019, my administration increased the threshold from $3 million Jamaican dollars to $10 million Jamaican dollars, and we are looking at a further increase to remove this burden from small businesses. We are looking at revamping the urban renewal tax credit with the aim of enhancing its effectiveness. This involves restructuring its framework and expanding the geographical areas eligible for this incentive. By doing so, we can attract greater investments into underserved communities, transforming them into economic hubs. For example, we are establishing the new urban centers in each parish to create new hubs for economic activity that will ultimately grow into vibrant local economies. The first of these is the Morant Bay Urban Center. Now, I don't know if you have gone that side of the island recently. I urge you to just take a drive out to the Morant Bay Urban Center. It is the first purpose-built town in Jamaica. And that's what it is going to turn out to be, on 25 acres of abandoned factory land. Some of you might remember in the heyday of Jamaica's production, the Goodyear factory. And we have converted that into a new urban space to complement the new road that is there. Go and take a look at it. And that will be the model. We will be building an urban center in close proximity to existing towns as a strategy of removing the congestion out of the town, bringing in new business and new energy, and developing the old town for their historic and cultural assets. So you will have the new Morant Bay Urban Center, and then you will have the old town of Morant Bay, where we will put a museum, we will develop their park, we will improve their streets, develop the historic houses that are there, and turn it into a real attraction and create an urban space in addition to a suburban space where persons can live. That's the vision. Jamaica, the place of choice where you can live, work, do business, raise your families, and retire in paradise. To complement this, we will be creating tax credits around these urban spaces. So if you're looking for businesses to invest and areas where you want to allocate capital, the development of urban spaces is going to be the new game in town. And I know NCB Capital Markets would have participated in the new urban center. And this is to improve our overall infrastructure. Now, to encourage businesses to modernize and retool their facilities as well as for investment in technology, we're considering the implementation of accelerated capital allowances. This measure would support enhanced productivity and competitiveness, especially in key industries that drive our economy. And 6, my administration has always been very supportive of the capital markets, whether it is the support for the junior market, the reduction in stamp duties and transfer taxes, or reduction in the tax on dividends. Now, I can't say too much at this time, but we are exploring a reduction in the rate of tax on dividends from the current rate of 15%. Further to that note, in support of wealth creation, the government has facilitated public ownership of national assets via the stock exchange. In the same vein, the government, and we're doing more, the government will very soon be divesting its 20% shareholding in Trans-Jamaica Highway Limited, held through the National Road Operating and Construction Company, NROC. This will be undertaken through a public offer for sale. So that is going to be something that the capital markets can look forward to. Also, later this year, the Port Authority of Jamaica will be divesting a percentage of its BPO assets, again, through a public offer for sale on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Before I close, I want to say a few words on the relationship between the cost of doing business and the cost of living. There is a close and circular relationship between the cost of doing business and the cost of living. When we improve the ease, speed, and cost of doing business, efficiency gains allow businesses to lower prices for customers. Conversely, inefficiencies, slow bureaucracy, and higher taxes or fees raise the cost for businesses, which are eventually passed on to consumers as higher prices. The high cost of living, exacerbated by global inflation from post-COVID supply chain disruption, remains a significant challenge. Food, energy, and transportation costs are the main contributors to the high cost of living. The government has provided subsidies for transportation, reduced the GCT on residential electricity, which we plan to do from 15% to 7%, and we are planning other measures. We also have measures which are now focused on reducing food costs through agricultural improvement and support for local farmers. Improving the ease, cost, and speed of doing business is not just about fostering investment, but it is also about transforming the lives of people. Every reform and bottleneck removed contributes to a more prosperous, equitable, and inclusive Jamaica. In closing, I am optimistic about Jamaica's future. The economic environment is favorable for businesses, entrepreneurs, workers, citizens. My administration remains committed to building on our successes, creating an environment where businesses can thrive, investments can flourish, and all Jamaicans can benefit from economic progress. Together, we will achieve peace, productivity, and prosperity. I wish you all a very productive and successful conference. Thank you, and God bless Jamaica.
That's Prime Minister Andrew Holness. He was speaking at the Jamaica Stock Exchange Regional Investment and Capital Markets Conference earlier this afternoon. We're going to take a small... yesterday, my apologies. We're going to take a small break, listeners, and then we come back with your calls in the few minutes or so we have left. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255.
Get ready for a day of inspiration and innovation at UCC BDCI's Conversations for Greatness. Join us on January 23 at 10 a.m. at UCC, 17 Worthington Avenue in Kingston for an exciting and informative day of activities. Connect with industry leaders like Michael Andre Collins, join interactive workshops, and witness a live pitch competition that could transform business ideas into reality. Don't wait. Visit www.bdci.co to register now. Conversations for Greatness, where great minds meet and future leaders are made.
The Watchman, exploring issues shaping our society, government, and business. Provocative, unconventional, Dr. Henley Morgan is The Watchman.
Good evening. The People's National Party, PNP, a shadow of its former self. Assessing Jamaica's progress, or lack thereof, is ill-served by over-reliance on quantitative measures such as gross domestic product, GDP, and by signs of modernity, including the changing skyline of New Kingston, new highways, and expensive high-end motor vehicles choking city streets. To accurately assess the progress of the nation, one must first understand the purpose for which governments exist. The primary purpose is to provide opportunity for people to succeed. What that looks like could vary in the eye of the beholder, but it should at least incorporate some simple scenarios such as A young couple pursuing the attainable goal of owning a home, raising healthy children, and educating them in good schools. And citizens having the reasonable expectation of living a full, dignified, and prosperous life in a harmonious and inclusive society, then dying in their beds from old age or an incurable disease. Putting politics aside, I ask you, the listener, is Jamaica progressing to your satisfaction? In his last public address to an annual conference of the PNP, national hero, the Right Honorable Norman Washington Manley, left us a yardstick with which to measure the nation's progress when he said his generation had accomplished the mission of winning self-government for Jamaica. But the mission of present and future generations was reconstructing the social and economic life of Jamaica. The verdict is in on whether succeeding governments have achieved this high benchmark against which to measure the nation's progress. And it is neither comforting nor reassuring. Michael Manley, son of the late national hero who succeeded him as leader of the PNP and served as Jamaica's fourth prime minister, understood the mandate and tried, albeit with mixed results, to pursue it. At his 100th centenary celebration, the Prime Minister of Barbados, Mrs. Maya Mottley, who was guest speaker at the event, skillfully weaved her thoughts around the theme, "The word is love," reminding her audience why these words came to represent the policy and programs identified with Michael Manley's philosophy that saw people, that heard people, and that felt people. By their frequent applause, the comrades in attendance chose to listen selectively, missing the main point of the speech. The majority, it seemed, thought it was about the man Michael, when in fact it was about the party, the PNP, which is a shadow of its former self, having lost its philosophical mooring and its egalitarianism when fighting for the underclass and for global causes to eliminate inequality between rich and poor countries, such as the new International Economic Order, NIEO, was part of its DNA. With that being the undeniable reality, it's hard to separate the PNP and JLP based on their philosophy, politics, and economics. Think on these things.
Produced by Agency for Inner City Renewal, AIR, and recorded in the Jamming Studio Trenchtown, a breath of fresh air bringing change to the inner city.
Enough power tool, big to small. Chakama figure dig the wall. Our Total Tools. We walk a figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand. Total Tools. We rent them, sell them, and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When I say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option.
Total Tools, located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slipe Road, Kingston.
And lot C6 Jacksaw, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
Start your fitness journey today and make 2025 your healthiest yet with Express Fitness. State-of-the-art equipment, expert trainers, and encouraging community are here to support you every step of the way. Join now and take the first step towards a stronger, happier you. Express Fitness, starting at only $9,500 per month with 11 locations island-wide. Your gym for all your needs. Visit www.expressfitnessja.com to sign up today.
Welcome back, listeners. As I said, we're taking your calls. The numbers are 630-9371-4 and 618-8255. Delroy, I understand you're on the line. Good evening.
Hi, Siobhan. Good night. How are you doing, man?
Doing quite well.
Yeah, man. Good, man. Yes, but I listen Sunday night. I hear a certain man on a dancer make some speech, and he said that his leader can make certain speech, but he have them there to back for the leader. And I think that man is general secretary, so supposed to be controlling certain things that we, you know. And he's saying that, if his leader can make certain speech, he have them to back. So, you know, that puzzled me from Sunday night. I tried to get on, but I couldn't get on. And then again, I hear a certain man again said, a certain man went to Portland in one general election. He was trying to win a by-election over there from Miss Valls. And his speech was that, Miss Valls serve a ticket only to be a housekeeper, something like that, you know? And he can give chicken and goat and all that something too. You know, when people hungry, you're going to give people chicken to raise and give them goat to raise, you know?
I recall the comment, yes.
Yeah, you remember it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Then I hear the same man now up on the dancehall stage just saying that, them vote that they're not going to put out nothing until when the Prime Minister called general election, because JLP is known to be a thief thing there. You know what I'm saying? JLP knows
Of
to be
ideas.
thief.
Yes, they think the JLP is going to steal their ideas, yes.
Yeah, man. Well, I think the Prime Minister put out a very steady thing from now until, and he just not just starting, he's a man of action, not a man of talking. You understand? So I don't know what that certain person are going to do right now, because him saying that him not put out nothing, them not vote, they not put out. So if you not putting nothing out, I consider what people gonna think about ahead of them. You understand?
No, I think I said this a few weeks ago in a Delroy, or was it last week even, that at this moment in time, the People's National Party does not believe they need to put out anything beyond just saying the Prime Minister is corrupt, etc., etc., etc. But as we get closer to the day, you will see where things are going to change in terms of them needing to provide actual policy positions.
That is what I'm going to put out. The Prime Minister is corrupt. You know, I remember one time, one certain man used to just on the Prime Minister house, you know. And
I remember that. I remember we had press conferences about that house too.
Okay. And him say put them, but this one now is just about corruption. But I see certain corruption come up now here. From what year? Nobody not talk about corruption again from this guy Lawrence thing there. Without $15 million corruption job, because I think if a leader, whether the Labour Party or the PNP, can tell someone to listen, who just hold on certain things because I'm going to give $15 million.
Well, the People's National Party says they've not offered that.
They have denied that, though. Yes, they have denied it.
The People's National Party said they did not offer that. They said that discussions were had about reimbursement with Mr. Rowe, but that no actual sum of $15 million was offered for him to step aside. So we've suggested that Mr. Rowe, if he says he has the receipts to say that such a discussion took place, for him to put those forward.
Oh, but they never offer the $15 million, but they offer him to give him host in a Senate when you're not in government and things like that. So that is not corruption. And offer him plenty more things. How can you offer him somebody thing where you don't have it for yourself? How that goes? That is corruption.
But on that part, though, Delroy, I think even before that, most parties do that. They horse trade on things such as board appointments and Senate positions. I don't like it, but both parties do it. I'm sure that takes place even now while the GLP is in government, that certain people are talking about, all right, if we stay in power, you're going to get this Senate seat. If you back out of, say, this race for this person we'd like to put here, it happens. That kind of horse trading happens relatively regularly in politics.
Okay. So the next thing, where is Jam and all of these things now on the stage show? I think it's what AK with fire, something like that, and all those kind of gun lyrics. Where is Jam and Trevor Monroe? I don't hear them talking about that Sunday night. What happened? Those are legal. I know one time, they ban certain gun lyrics on the ear, you know. And I hear a lot of that Sunday night at the dancehall thing, and I do, because I dancehall when I go on.
To my knowledge, it's still illegal to use. And Sanjay, I beg to be corrected, but to my knowledge, it's still illegal to use certain lyrics on a political platform, is it not?
Yes, those gun lyrics, you know, instigated violence, you know. You're not supposed to need that Labour nor PNP nor no P, you know. It's not supposed to be.
I'm not so sure about the illegality of it, though, Siobhan, but certainly from a moral standpoint, it comes across, you know, bad from the side of the opposition that you're promoting, in a sense, while indirectly, certain lyrics on stage. But in terms of the illegality of it, I'm not so sure about that.
Yes, so I need to know whichever Monroe and John is like them going on. Them stay under the bed when those things going on. They don't hear nothing about that, because I don't hear nothing from none of them about that, you know. And, I mean, those is not right, because they gun lyrics instigate a lot of things out there. And when I hear about go suck your mother and all this something, hey,
please don't say that on here, though, Delroy. Please don't say that here.
No, this one was not even Vice Carter.
No, but
Delroy.
You can't say that on air, though, Delroy.
Thank you for the call, though, Delroy. Thank you for the call.
Oh, dear Jesus.
Before we go to the next call,
I just want to comment something quickly, Siobhan, as it relates to that presentation made by the Prime Minister, because what we saw is the Prime Minister outlining a number of legislative and policy changes geared towards the development of the country. And I think it's a very comprehensive speech which shows continuity. And to be honest, we have come a very far way as a people, where a government is not looking on what they can do over the lifespan of an administration, but looking beyond a single administration. It shows maturity. You know, that Jamaica benefits when politicians can look beyond just the next 5 years and looking more at building the country. You hear the Prime Minister talking about something that is to come January of next year, and we have an election this year. It doesn't mean that the JLP will win, but it shows that the government is mature enough to talk about continuity. And I think that is important for good governance.
I mean, and it should be noted that the current fiscal discipline that we're showing in the Jamaican government is a continuation of something adopted by the People's National Party government, which was an adoption of something taken on by the Golding administration that began before it. So this level of continuation in government is what has given us a greater level of international respect and clout on the international capital market that we can now exploit. That's a very good point, Sanjay.
Have to laud the previous administration, this current administration. It shows maturity.
Omalo, good evening.
Hey, good evening, Siobhan. Good evening, Sanjay.
Good evening, Omalo.
Yeah, I'm listening to the Marlene Malou Fort.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And that committee there. I don't think it's going anywhere. I think they're in a lame duck session right at this moment. And what I think I would prefer is for the Prime Minister to put forward is constitutional reform as to how he is going to deal with the Privy Council and the Governor General. And the PMP put forward their one too. And make this an election campaign issue where the people of Jamaica decide who they prefer to lead that process in the next coming government.
But in fairness, though, Amala, I think that both sides have really put forward their perspective. The Prime Minister indicated that something like this should go as a grand referendum to the people for them to decide, while the opposition is of the belief that it's something that we need to move forward with.
So, put it in the election. Put it to the people. Let the people vote and say, we want you to lead the process in the next government. Because this is not going anywhere. You see, the opposition have pulled their people. It's a lame duck issue right at this moment. The session is a lame duck session. It's not going anywhere. So make this a political issue and let Jamaica decide, okay, we like what you say you're going to address the president. We like your presidential way. We like your Privy Council way. or we like your presidential way, and we like your CCJ way.
Omalo, I hear what you're saying, and as I said, I'm all for putting this to a referendum and just having it being decided that way, a binding referendum and having it being decided that way.
It's not a referendum I'm talking about.
I know that's not what you're talking about, but that's my preference because the current manifestations of our governance will still require both political parties, regardless of who's forming government, to sit around that table and ultimately put pen to paper on that matter.
But
you can't get around it.
In the opposition will know that the people of Jamaica gave the mandate to the person, the person in power, because of this is an issue that the people want. So if
but Omalo, when in the last general elections, the government did have that proposal as part of their in their manifesto, indicating that matters like these, and they listed a number of them, should go to the people in a grand referendum.
As an issue in this general election that is coming.
So you want to politicize the constitutional reform process? Because that's essentially what you're suggesting, you know, Omalo.
By saying that this is the party we want to move it forward, or this is the party we want to move it forward, and we prefer the CCJR based, and we prefer the...
But you're also essentially opening up that process to political scrutiny. That is what you're doing. You're saying you want it to be either a PNP-led process or a JLP-led process, rather than a process led by the Jamaican people to create a Jamaican republic. Okay. Looks like we lost Omalo, but... interesting comment to end on, but that's all the time we have regardless. Thank you all in YouTube land and those on the radio who listened and tuned in and came to see us. Maxine Anderson, Donovan Combry, Mikhail, always good to see you. Marjorie G, Jacqueline Thomas, Robbie Mack, Amanda Street, Verly Green, thank you all for joining us. And thank you to our super producer Dana Davey, our technical operator Andrew the Glenn Boogs Anderson, my friends and compatriots in the newsroom led by the capable Cara Powell. I am Chevon Campbell.
My name is Sanjay Lewis, wishing for you a wonderful evening.
The mission of the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs includes revising Jamaica's legal and constitutional infrastructure and accelerating the pace of reform. The time by the MLCA is...
It's 8 o'clock.
You can have it all. Company events, birthday parties, or the wedding of your dreams. It's all possible at Grand Palladium Hotels and Resorts. We have magnificent event rooms and a dedicated